Hey there. So I don't know if you caught the partial lunar eclipse last night or not, but this partial lunar eclipse was in a conjunction with Neptune and was in a square to the Galactic Centre. Now, the Galactic Centre has been on my mind for a while. I've known that it's been in a square with Neptune for quite a long time, coming in. It's been applying into a square. And this year it's made an exact square, and it's about to make another 2 exact squares before the end of the year. So the theme of it is really coming to a head. So in this video, what I want to do is talk around what the Galactic Centre is bringing us. And how its energy might be experienced. I will say that I've also released a video today where I chat with Trassa from Goddess Inspire, and she is a galactic astrologer, and she talks from her own personal experience working with clients who have very galactic charts, and she helps people understand their energies, because the Galactic Centre, you know, if you've got a lineup in your chart to the Galactic Centre, there's a pretty big chance that you have been born with a sense of purpose, mission, that there's something out of this world about you. There is something that you're trying to bring this world, something you're trying to heal or birth in this world that goes beyond the usual narratives. You know, the usual narratives of working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you know, going to school to get a job, to own a house and then to one day die. Most likely you are wanting to do something in excess of that, beyond that. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at the Galactic Centre in a particular, particularly from the perspective of how it can assist humanity. You know, in my lifetime, the Galactic Centre has made or Chiron has made a conjunction with the Galactic Centre. So has Uranus, so has Neptune, so has Pluto. These are all slow moving. In fact, in my parents' lifetime, and I know I have viewers around the age of my parents, in 1951, Chiron was also in a conjunction with the Galactic Centre. So Chiron has made 2 conjunctions with the Galactic Centre in the sort of timeline that we would all know people that are born in these times. So I think, you know, if you're watching and you're drawn to this, no doubt there is some kind of link between you and the Galactic Centre that is just ready to kind of be explored and delved into. Not to mention the Sun goes into a conjunction with the Galactic Centre every year for, you know, let's say for 4 days or so. So if you're born at the end of Sagittarius, no doubt you've got a very sort of Galactic Centre theme. The moon connects with this every single month, 13 times a year. The ascendant goes over it every single day. And every single day, you might have the Galactic Centre on your midheaven to do with your career, on the IC, the angle to do with your home, or even on your descendant to do with your relationships. So there's many different ways that the Galactic Centre could show up in your chart. At the end of this, what I'm going to be doing is having a look at all sign forecasts. So I'm going to be looking Aries right through to Pisces and giving you a short forecast to do with what the Galactic Centre is doing right now and what that might mean to you on your cosmic journey. Like, how are you going to be translating and moving forwards with all the cosmic energies? How are you going to be bringing your gift forward? So this is slightly different to the usual astrology I do. I think this is kind of special. I'm very excited. Before I go any further, I just want to say thank you to everybody who contributes with their time, you know, by making a comment, with their talents, by suggesting things to me, and sharing things with me, and also with their treasure, you know, time, talent, and treasure. You know, anyone that's sponsoring me with money as well. These are all people who have sponsored the channel recently. I absolutely love and adore you. Thank you so much. But, you know, just in general, we're talking about the Galactic Centre and the idea of cosmic energy, and checking in, and sort of oneness is definitely going to come up. I absolutely think that the more people who are thinking nicely and positively towards me and this channel and each other, the more it's raising my vibration and helping me create better material. So, you know, I know that's a bit radical, but I honestly, truly believe it. I do think we're co-creating this. So thank you. Right, where I want to start then. Well, we've already got Tressa's lovely chat with me in a video, and that's on the channel, and you can definitely listen into that. But I also wanted to share something that other people had written about the Galactic Centre. And I really like this from masteringthezodiac.com. Now, I will say right off the bat that masteringthezodiac.com might disapprove of me sharing this. I haven't asked them, but it's there, it's on the internet, and I'm guessing it's okay to share it. But they don't practice Western tropical astrology, as far as I know from their website. I was looking at their site over the last couple of years. They're practicing sidereal and 13 sign horoscopes and astrology. They're brilliant with what they do. Mastering the Zodiac is fantastic. But I absolutely adored their translation or their information about the Galactic Centre. So I want to share some of it. So they're saying it's a powerful source of energy. Billions of stars emit radio and gamma rays surrounding the supermassive black hole that lies in the centre of our galaxy. This supermassive black hole is what everything in our galaxy orbits around and can be thought of as the sun of the Milky Way. I couldn't have put it better in my own words. This is fantastic. Unfortunately, despite it being the most powerful source of energy in our galaxy, it's often overlooked in mainstream astrology. The ancients saw this part of the sky as leading to higher consciousness, offering profound insights and spiritual growth and evolution. What we find through astrological observation is that this is an extremely transformative part of the sky. The symbolic phoenix rising out of the ashes. The planet's energy dies at the galactic center and emerges out of the other side into, I didn't go any further. There's some more information here about it though. The house or planet close to the galactic center is experienced as if that area of life or part of ourselves is in the void of the galaxy's core. This placement can strip the house and planet of its surface level expressions and accentuate its deeper, more fundamental properties. As a result, the house or planet that acts as a catalyst in our lives, leading us to greater spiritual awakening and understanding. For instance, if the sun aligns with the galactic center, the person may feel less of a pull towards their aspects of lives that are for personal gain or ego satisfaction. They would likely find that they prefer to focus on the deeper meaning behind life and live from a place of candidness and rawness of what life is all about. They may be drawn to spiritual or metaphysical pursuits and have a natural ability to tap into the higher wisdom, healing, and human psychology. Wow, I love this. The placement of the galactic center in our charts tells us which area of life holds this powerful and transformative energy. Its interaction with our personal planets, especially the sun, moon, or ascendant, can reveal much about our spiritual path and purpose. And I've just put in a few snapshots of 3 clients that I worked with just last week. I hope they don't mind. But it's interesting. I always think what is going on in the stars with the planetary weather, whatever is going on at this exact moment in time, my clients start to reflect it the same week or maybe just a little bit before. But I start to see shared patterns. And one of the patterns that was coming up last week for me was that a lot of my clients that I was working with had something towards the end of Sagittarius. So in each of these, I've put in where it says Gala, that stands for Galactic Centre. So one person here born back in the 1950s has their ascendant and also Venus in a conjunction with the galactic center, and then Juno just the other side. Then I had another Sagittarian ascendant. Again, these, I always say there are no coincidences. It's crazy how people come up with really similar vibrations in the same week. So the ascendant was at 20 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius, and the galactic center was in a conjunction with Neptune, and Uranus on the ascendant is pretty spacey. And then I also had somebody with Ceres and the South Node in a conjunction with the galactic center. There are generations of people or little pockets of people in our lifetime, in your lifetime. You'll probably know people, you might even be one of these people, who were born at a time when one of these slower moving planets was moving over the galactic center. So for instance, people born in 51 who are now age 73 will have a conjunction with Chiron and the galactic center. And if you're born in 2001, I don't get many 23 or 24 year olds watching me, but you might have a child, you might have a younger sibling. You may well know people, you might be working with people who are at 23 to 24. They've all got the galactic center in a conjunction with Chiron. Now, Chiron, the wounded healer, I mean, if we imagine what that might mean to people who are 73 right now, and also people 23 to 24, they might really be absolutely fascinated with the idea of consciousness and wounding. And so I wonder how things have changed in that Chiron cycle. Chiron is about wounds and healing, and then later mastery. I think Chiron is also like a strong Chiron gives the energy of a teacher, a mentor, somebody who is able to really, really help people transcend their pain. Might struggle with transcending their own pain, because Chiron is famously known for being wounded forever until he gave up his mortality. He did find a way out in the end, so you can transcend your pain. But I wonder how many people are coming to consciousness, galactic consciousness, shared consciousness, this idea of a motivation for doing something in the world because of their own pain and wounding. And I wonder how many of them are doing something really masterful with it, and who are developing their coaching, their healing skills to help a wide range of people. I think this is beautiful. And, we might not fully see yet, because people aged 23 and 24, I mean, they're starting their lives. I know, when I was that age, I felt like I was already a long way through it, but they are really just getting into their own space and into their own feel for life. So, I have high hopes for people born around this time. In fact, I've got 2 nieces born in this time, so very excited for this generation. Now, if you're born in 1987, you will have Uranus in a conjunction to the galactic center, and of course, you might like in 86, maybe even 85, because Uranus will be coming into that conjunction, and then out the other side, maybe until even 1990, depending on how fast Uranus is moving and how many times he's going forwards and backwards. Uranus goes retrograde every year for about 4 to 5 months. But if you're around the age of 37, give or take a year or two, the chances are you've got Uranus in a conjunction with your galactic center. So change and innovation is what is firing up your galactic consciousness. All forms of change and innovation and freedom and independence and liberty, all of those really strong words are absolutely really triggering a recall of galactic information. Like, if you do have that mindset that we come from somewhere, that it's no accident we're here right now, doing our Monday to Friday lives and stuff, you may well have been triggered into an awakening. I think there's going to be a lot of people, especially with Uranus, because it's very stop-start energy. Uranus, I think, is a great awakener. So I think there's going to be a lot of people awakening in their lifetime who are born with Uranus in a conjunction to the galactic center. It's all about consciousness there. And I would say equality as well. A hell of a lot about equality. So again, like right now they're 37, and well into their lives. But, the older I get, actually, the more I realize that your career doesn't end, even when you get to 60, or, there are fabulous people coming into greater levels of wisdom every year. And so I still don't think at age 37, even though, lots of, I don't know if you're talking about fashion pages and this, that, and the other, and music and film and blah, 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 you might find that age 37, you've already gone past your prime. I just don't believe that at all. I think we're going to be hearing a lot from people who are born in this year with Uranus in a conjunction to the galactic center. We really are. And in fact, when Uranus goes into Gemini next year in 2026, we might have to wait 5 years or so, maybe a little bit more, before it starts to go into an opposition with the galactic center. But yeah, as these people are going through their Uranus opposition, around about the age of 42, 43, so 5 years or so from now, I think a lot of this generation or this year of people are going to be suddenly waking up and suddenly coming into power and responsibility and doing something very special with this. Slightly older, the Neptune conjunction to the galactic center, this is very, very dreamy. And this is, I think, going to be like people born between 1982 and 1983 that are currently 41 or 42. I absolutely feel that the current square that's going on between Neptune and the galactic center, it's also your Neptune square that you're going through, which everyone goes through around this age. If you get to your 40s, your early 40s, you're going to go through your Neptune square. And it is a time when our identity is changing, and when we are absolutely realizing that some of the things that we held as very real for us are dissolving, and that some of our ideals are changing in quite a strong way. This is quite a challenge, I would say, for people who are 41 to 42. This is a bit of a challenge for you, because you're also, people who are around this age are coming into their Uranus opposition. So it is a really strong time for you guys. And if you're one of them, I absolutely honor you. You're going through a very, very strong Neptune square with this galactic center. To me, it feels like any hardship that you're going through right now is absolutely to awaken you to a greater understanding, a greater spiritual connection, to really whole new paradigms, really, about what life is about. Neptune is a very idealistic planet, really idealistic. So I think there's going to be a lot of ideals and idealistic narratives and paradigms coming from you. And then I don't think anyone listening is likely to have been born with Pluto in a conjunction with the galactic center. But if you are 17 or 18, you're really born to make a difference and to transcend the usual ideas of what life is about. And you might not know it yet. This is something that's likely to come up for you as you get older, and as you come into your own energy. And I think, people born 2006, 2007, and also people born 2001, we need to be watching them. We need to be supporting them. So if you've got a child or someone in your family, or if you're working with younger people, I think we all have a responsibility to really support these individuals, these lovely beings who have such a strong galactic inheritance. We need to support them as much as we can for them to unravel their own clues. They won't need too much support, because that's the thing with the galactic center. If you listen to my chat with Trassa, you'll hear that we are very good. I say we because my son is in a conjunction with the galactic center. We're very good at following the breadcrumbs. We're very good at following our intuition. These people born 2006 to 2007 are nobody's fool. They will definitely follow their own breadcrumbs and most likely create some drama for themselves in order to do that. So I imagine they're going to have quite an interesting life, very colourful, and not without a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of pain and trauma. I don't want to say that, but I think they are creating for themselves the necessary learning for them to make quick, dramatic transformations and to have these big surrendering experiences that we are all going to learn from. Put another way, people born in 2006 and 2007, and also people born in 2001, they're going to be running the world that maybe you and I will be leaving. They're going to be inheriting the world. They're going to be running it. So what I'm really getting from this is our responsibility to help support in the way they want the support from us, not in our way, which might be a bit mugglish and, where we think we know what's best for them. People with a Galactic Centre connection know what is right for them. So what are the aspects that are coming up right now? So I've kind of drawn it out on a sort of base chart. So right now Neptune is here and the Galactic Centre is here. The Galactic Centre has been here for hundreds of years. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And if it goes, we're all done for. So the Galactic Centre is here in the tail end of Sagittarius. Neptune is here at the end of Pisces. Now they were in a square around mid-March, earlier this year on the 12th of March. They are going to be in a conjunction, in an exact square on the 21st of November, and then just before Christmas on the 22nd of December. So I really say that the winter solstice or the summer solstice, if you're in the southern hemisphere, that is absolutely going to have a real strong imprint of this particular square between Neptune and the Galactic Centre. The sort of cosmic energy, the energy of ideals, spirituality, consciousness, where we are. I think there's a lot to do with origins that are coming up. Neptune is a bit wandering, it's expansive and uncertain sometimes. One of the darker sides of Neptune is we don't always know who we are. We forget what our identity is. I think Neptune helps us to dissolve our energy, and like our identity kind of dissolves a little bit under Neptune's gaze. But in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune is one of the rulers of Pisces, Neptune's spirituality is transformed into many different like refractions of light. There's just so many different paths, so many different ideas, so many different philosophies, teachers, and it can be really confusing to know which one is for you. And actually, I really think it is absolutely calling for us to go deep inside ourselves, and to know ourselves and to know God through ourselves, if that makes sense. So, this is a very strong time where we're coming into personal accountability, but it could be very, very confusing. And, I think it's restless. And I also think we might feel a bit homeless, like unrooted. The Neptune energy in Pisces is very unrooted. And obviously Sagittarius isn't necessarily a home bird. Sagittarius is quite an adventurer. So, this is not a very rooted energy. It is deliberately, I would say, unattached. And so we might all be feeling quite unattached at the moment, but desperately not knowing what to grab onto and how to know which way is up and which way is down. Does that make sense? I hope so. Then as we go into 2025, like the North Node currently is in Aries as I'm recording this on the 18th of September. And then by the end of January, the North Node crosses into the sign of Pisces. And then by the 15th of April, the North Node is exactly in a square to the Galactic Centre. So, Neptune is still in a separating square to the Galactic Centre, but now the North Node is coming in to that area too. So it's now not just about Neptune, which is absolutely about spirituality. Oh, and I've written it here as well, mystery and oneness. But then we've also got our North Node there, and we're talking about our legacy, our destiny, and life lessons. So this is full of mystery and oneness, and we're learning life lessons and aligning our destiny and the idea of what it is we're birthing right now. How can we live with more richness and fullness? How can we live as if we are eternal beings. I really think that is one of the core challenges, and it may appear to be harder and harder, as we come into different models of how the world might be. There's a very strong calling at the moment to get everybody online into the Internet of Things, or into smart cities, or into some kind of digital ID. That doesn't feel very cosmic to me, I have to say. But everything that comes up has a different, like an equal and opposite, like what's the word? Like everything has a positive and a negative. Everything is like a coin. It has two sides. So whilst I don't necessarily see that having an electronic ID, or being, locked into a smart city, or associated with some of these more Pluto and Aquarius ideals, whilst I don't see that as particularly spiritual, or my feeling of consciousness doesn't expand when I think of that. In fact, I feel like it's all coming in on me. However, there will be lots of people who that side of the coin really relates to them, because they're all signed into something. They are all becoming one. They're becoming one with the energy of the internet. They are becoming one with the infrastructure of cities. And again, there is, you can come out of your identity through oneness and consciousness and meditation and all those kinds of pathways and awareness. And on the other hand, you can come out of that oneness, or come into that oneness, through connecting to other people, civilizations, and the internet. They are both two ways of doing it. And I see that's going to come up, but I think it's going to lead to some confusion, and some hard life lessons. Then it gets a bit tougher, I think, but not necessarily worse. But, this is helping us realize that we are made of tough stuff, and that we're a lot more resourceful than we realize. But the next movement, Saturn is coming into this area. By the time Saturn comes in, the North Node has moved away. But Saturn, and in fact, they cross in the middle, because Saturn is coming this way. So Saturn will come into the square. Neptune will have moved away a little bit, but it's still technically in square with the galactic center. So we've got Saturn in there as well. In fact, the North Node is still pretty much there. It might have shifted a little bit. There's only 9 days difference there, actually. So they are there at the same time. So what I would say is, people born at this time are going to be really intensely searching. They have got a very interesting life ahead. They've picked to incarnate on Earth at a time of massive social change, and very, very strong ideas about spirituality, about our place in the world, our place in life, and is there more to it than what we see with our and feel and hear with our actual bodily senses? Is there something much bigger than this? Now, Saturn is interesting. We are going to come up against our limitations and our boundaries, and this could be quite tough. The Galactic Centre is wanting us to expand and to remember and to tune into the frequency and stuff. And yet Saturn is wanting us to narrow our bandwidth, to zero in on things. Now, if you're already on a pathway to explore the nature of the universe, or the nature of what life really is, and to explore the enjoyment of it, like the adventure, the curiosity, the possibility of it, then Saturn could actually help you. It would give you the perseverance, the dedication to really do something with it. But this could show a lot of disruption, and I think possibly homelessness, a really, really strange kind of orphan-like state that the world is in. It feels like there's a lot of change going on. I will say next year is a really big year. I mean, obviously, Pluto is going into Aquarius in November this year, in 2024. But within one calendar year from that happening, we've got the North Node changing signs. We've got Neptune changing signs. We've got Saturn changing signs. We've got Jupiter changing signs. And we've got Uranus changing signs. I still haven't worked out the last time that all happened within one calendar year. That is a lot of astrological change. So it figures that, we would already be in a state of wariness. So I think around this April time, that there will be a little bit of wariness, and to me, it feels like our homes and our security are a big unknown. And then a month later, so Saturn is still very, very close to being in a square with the Galactic Centre. But a month later, Jupiter will absolutely be in an opposition. Now, Jupiter will be coming into that opposition a month before, probably, and thereafter, Jupiter moves quite a bit faster. But Jupiter is wanting us to sort of explore our magnificence and our growth, and I think this opposition actually is kind of interesting, because the Galactic Centre is in the sign of Jupiter, like the sign of Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. I think these two will create some really big, fast changes. And if you are on a pathway towards salvation, resurrection, towards a deeper knowing, more intensity, less attention and attachment to this world, but more of a attention to a creator world, then I think things will move very, very fast, really fast. And possibly some of these people, and that might be you, and it might be me, because I'm born on the 20th of December, people born 17th to 20th, they've got their sun there. We might all be doing something. This could actually be quite an interesting time where our gifts, our core gifts, like what we're here to do, come out in a really incredible way. So this is an interesting moment in time in history. And if we think about it, we're in September now. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. It's 8 months. Big shifts going on. So I want to share with you the Sabian symbol. So you might have seen I've made a couple of shows with Linda Hill, who created this wonderful website called sabiansymbols.com, Sabian and symbols, literally.com. And whatever you're looking up the symbol for, there's 360 symbols. I wanted to look up the current position of the Galactic Centre, which is 27 degrees Sagittarius. So you type in 27, click Sagittarius, click find my sign or get my symbol, something like that. And it always rounds it up to the next number. So currently the Galactic Centre has this theme. Now, this is close to my heart, because this is the Sabian symbol for my sun sign. So this really relates to me. I love this. A splendidly built bridge, a heritage of unknown ages, still spans the beautiful and wildly primitive stream. I mean, the language in this is just amazing. This symbol speaks of building bridges between places, people, and events in order to bring them together and to add cohesion to society. The bridge implies strength, dependability, and passage to other places. The bridge was built many years ago, and it presents the ability to be able to reach back in time, to reflect on what was important then and what's important now. Often these values are one and the same. Traditional ways of approaching things can lead to the best solutions. There is a linking of people, places, and things with clarity. Note, the Galactic Centre is moving on to this degree. This was written a long time before the Galactic moved there. We need to act as bridges in order to truly create. Enduring elements from past traditions, providing a link with the modern. Reverence for things of worth that stand as reminders of yesterday. Permanence. Getting in touch. So another idea of this, so the Sabian symbol for that is up here, is that the Galactic Centre that is absolutely being activated right now by dreamy spiritual Neptune, by the North Node to do with our life lessons, our karma, Saturn to do with, our physical presence and, our boundaries and stuff, and also Jupiter to do with our growing. They are all activating this energy, and creating the activation of this bridge going back into the past. So I wonder if in the next 8 months, we will learn so much more about our history, but in a new way. We might learn more about the idea of space and the idea of the planet or the plane. Some people have it as a plane. In fact, the model of the universe, as we've been told it is, we might actually come to have a completely different definition of that. Metaphysics is showing us all these different things all the time. Like there's the double slit experiment that shows that when something is being observed, it behaves differently. Now we know that, if you've got children, you'll know that if a child knows it's being watched, it definitely behaves differently. But apparently, like we get different results when there is an observer of the results. There's quantum entanglement, the idea that that DNA from, let's say, like blood from a chicken or something, or a chicken's foot, or tissue from an animal can be taken to a different time and place in the world, a different time zone, and you can do something to the DNA in one location and it gets registered in the other location. Now, I've probably got some of those details wrong, but the energy of what I'm talking about, where things that belong together can be separated, and yet there is this sort of instant telepathy, this instant knowing, and it's physical. It's not just consciousness. It's felt in the flesh. It's felt in the DNA. So, are we collectively going to expand? Are some of us expanding deeper into consciousness? Are we going to start connecting with each other more telepathically? I've definitely had the sensation or the feeling that I've been connected into groups of people at different times. I feel like a group consciousness come in from time to time. There are all sorts of different things possible. I think this is a little bit like what's it called, with the superheroes with freakishly unusual skills. What's it called? I'm terrible with films. I really don't watch films. I'm sure I'm going to get loads of comments going, oh, it's that. Where there's, where lots, like the guys who've got these special super skills and special superpowers are all locked up in this school where they're exploring together because society isn't ready for them. They're kind of like outcasts. I just cannot for the life of me remember the actual film. But I think many of us are going to be coming on in our own powers in these ways. And I think during this time, we're going to have lots of children born with a definite kind of energetic. And of course, if we are quantumly entangled, as one of us does it, it impacts a few more people and pushes them up. As a few more people do it, then that impacts so many more people. And before we know it, we're all collectively rising up. So I think something is absolutely moving us and creating something really new. And I say new because actually it's actually really old, but it's new to us. I'm fascinated by what's going on right now. And then another thing that I notice is often when these big changes go on, we don't consciously, we don't really consciously process it maybe for a year or two later. I mean, the last time Neptune was in an exact square to the Galactic Centre was between 1858 and 1860. Now, I was trying to find out something historical. And of course, we've got the internet, which has its own limitations. It has its own bias. And if you use certain search engines, you'll get certain results. Yeah. What really caught my eye in my brief little search was that Abraham Lincoln was coming into power. And American oil was coming up. The first refinery or the first well was set up. There was also a lot of talk about the liberation of enslaved people. And Abe Lincoln was reported as saying, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And so even though the abolitionists were working very fervently to abolish slavery, their methods were not admired by Abraham Lincoln, because what he recognized was the extreme methods that they went through to get attention. It was creating more polarity. And, what I get with this, a house divided against itself cannot stand, to me, really, when I read that, I thought, wow, that's just like now, over the last 4 or 5 years or so, there has been so much polarity from people that wore masks and didn't wear masks, people that wanted to get jabbed, people that didn't want to get vaccinated, like people's ideas on what a woman is has absolutely divided people. Then my body, my choice is something that creates a lot of polarity. And obviously, the big elephant in the room is American politics right now, which I don't want to say through no fault of its own, but it seems to have pervaded it, or invaded the consciousness of people around the world. So it's not just Americans that are going through it, but everyone else is too. Thanks to the internet, thanks to media, thanks to YouTube, and obviously I'm talking about it now. But there are so many polarized ideas right now that have really captured people. So it's interesting that at the time of the square, the last square, there was a lot of polarization. There was the Civil War. And there were also characters that were standing for unity, that even if you agree with someone or disagree with someone, you might still not agree with their methods, and yet you can still find a way to work together. So in the end, there was the liberation of enslaved people, from what I read anyway. I'm sure if you know more about history than I do, you might have an alternate view, and I'm very happy to listen to your thoughts in the comments below. But that's interesting, because also, if the Galactic Centre right now is a splendidly built bridge spanning back into time, and there's all these like new ideas to resolve situations, but that we are going back into the past to navigate them, that seems kind of true. Neptune at 27 degrees is equal to Sabian symbol Pisces 28, a fertile garden under the full moon, which is kind of funny since we just had the partial lunar eclipse. This shows enjoying nature and the fruits of your life, your country, your culture. There's often a sense that one has all that's needed and emotions can be running high. The fertile garden signifies that you have the things you need at your disposal. And this symbol has a strong clairvoyant sense to it, with the ability to pick up on subtle energies and life forms in the environment. You'll get lots of opportunities to enjoy the moment, but keep a sense of equilibrium. As soon as the energy will be on the wane, you have to get back to your more practical everyday tasks. Fullness and fertility, peak experiences, brilliantly active subconscious life, cycles, the effects of the moon, Mother's Nature's gift, the full moon, nature sprites, gardens. This is fascinating, because when I read that just a moment ago, what really came up to me was like, to me, it feels like this fertile garden is a standstill. Now, Neptune isn't at 27 degrees Pisces at the moment, but will be when it goes into the exact square. So on the 21st of November, and then exactly on the 22nd of December of 2024, Neptune is going to be at this, and most likely in between, because Neptune's very, very slow moving. Now, are we at a standstill at that time? As I was reading that, I thought of the lockdown. It might be because I was just talking about, the COVID, the COVID narrative that sort of came up, the situation of the pandemic as it approached us. We were in these lockdowns and things slowed down, and for many of us, myself included, lots of people got into their own sense of reality. The fertile garden, we started to be a lot more local, be a lot more present to what was going on. A lot more in our own pace of life, not having to rush off to work in all these different directions. Things slowed down. So I wonder if there is going to be a slowdown. Are we going to lose technology, something going down? I don't know. But between the 21st of November and the 22nd of December 2024, when Neptune makes his last exact square to the galactic center, to me, it feels like everything is slowing down. And in that moment, we come online, which is what I really noticed happened with the last lockdown. With the last lockdown, loads of people went online. Loads of people got a YouTube channel. Lots of people started to channel, like interesting channels became more important and people were beginning to channel more. I think the rise of people talking about global consciousness has expanded exponentially. This is all absolutely in alignment with the Neptune and Galactic Centre square. Fascinating. So I wonder if a whole new raft of people, like we're all floating up, we're all rising together. Are a lot of us going to come online? Are we all going to, notice lots of different skills and talents that we all possess? And you know what this really reminds me of as well? And I was thinking about the film title earlier. This reminds me of X-Men, the idea that there are people born with special skills, supernatural skills, or skills that other people can't quite comprehend. I actually, I sense, or I feel like I know that we are much more powerful than we are right now in these physical bodies. And I would not be at all surprised to realize that there are people around the world who have these incredible skills. And I think there's going to be a whole new load of babies being born. And I think a lot of them are going to be programmed with this energy, this natural openness, this natural sense of possibility and curiosity to explore these very strong clairvoyant gifts. So yeah, if you've definitely got something around the ends of the mutable signs, in particular Sagittarius and Pisces, this could really ramp up your clairvoyant, your mediumistic, your awakening skills. There's a lot going on. Lastly, then Jupiter, 27 degrees in Gemini. This is coming on towards the end of this period, May of next year, 2025. Society granting bankruptcy, a person leaves the court with mixed feelings. This symbol shows that there can be collective responsibility for issues and problems that occur for individuals, and that the collective can grant a second chance for people to get back on their feet. This could be a time to accept such an opportunity. There may be bitter disappointment, but relief from burdening pressure as people are let off the hook and transgressions forgiven. Someone may be feeling a sense of abandonment because people have not lived up to their responsibilities. Staying optimistic about the future will help shift life into another gear. Protection, being free to get on with life, starting back at square one, renewal, pardons, forgiveness, release of pressure, booms and busts, risks for money or position. I really like this. To me, this is saying that that everybody has a hand in what's going on. Like, we are all creating this collective life, this collective world. We all have a hand in this. We all have our own consciousness that is adding into it. And to me, it feels like around May, June time next year, there's going to be a big change. And what I'm hearing here, that is there's forgiveness, and there is a letting go, that there is an opportunity to allow and to understand and to make reparations of some sort. So, and I really like this line, being free to get on with life, starting back at square one. With all the outer planets moving sign next year within one with one complete yearly cycle, Pluto changes signs on the 20th of November into Aquarius. Then we've got the North Node. Then we've got Neptune. Then we've got Saturn. Then we've got Jupiter. Then we've got Uranus. All within not even a year, within 8 or 9 months, they've all changed position. There's going to be some massive shifts, and I think the people who are going to find these shifts easier are the ones that are in allowance and ready to forgive themselves. ready to not be in such a separate mindset. So I really do think there is a collectivism about this, and finding peace. On that note, I just want to share what Eloise 3280 said in one of her comments last week underneath I think it was my last weekly forecast. During that forecast, I'd said consciousness allows everything and judges nothing, but I think I'd got one of the words slightly mixed up, and I wasn't quite sure how to explain it. The idea that consciousness allows everything and that allowing everything is good, because obviously if you've been the victim of a horrendous attack, like if a family member's been raped or murdered, or if something awful has happened to you, you might not feel like allowing that everything is okay. And so I think I got myself in a bit of a pickle. But there are quite a few people out there that talk about, and this comes from Access Consciousness. I'm a big fan of Access Consciousness. Consciousness allows everything and judges nothing. As a basic premise, the allowance of consciousness, like allowing for everything and judging nothing, as Eloise has explained to me very beautifully, she said, it's not about taking a position. It just means we're not contributing to the positive or negative judgments about the topic. We're not adding any charge. Now, in these really polar times that we're living through right now, the media absolutely helps us to stay in this place of polarity, as like films, music, the internet. Everything is geared for us actually to be in this very big polarity state, not a state of unity consciousness. Anyone that finds unity at this time is like Yoda. You're like a master, and well done you. But one thing I do notice is when we have a very strong feeling about something, we are adding to the collective charge of energy about things. We are adding to a further creation, so we are absolutely making every situation worse and stronger when we have really strong negative judgments about a topic. We might similarly have really positive judgments, but actually when you're adding so much of a positive charge, that can also get a life of its own and also create problems as well. Moderation and balance can be quite useful. But what this is talking about, and also loving what is, which is what Byron Katie talks about, it's about being an allowance of everything, and it frees you from aligning and agreeing or rejecting or reacting to something. It gives you the position of it helps you not take a position. So you're in an observer mode. And on a personal note, one thing I've noticed is when I can observe and not take things personally, I have so much more access to all of my intuition, to my instincts, to my unconscious mind, to flashes of insight, to creativity. So much more is there in my allowance. I have allowed for so much more by not filling my head with loads of judgments, loads of yeses and nos and anger and resentment. When you've got these really hard energies about things and views about things, it's limiting your choices about what you might want to act and react to. So I really like the idea about being an allowance of everything. And to me, that is what this is talking about. We can be collectively responsible for issues and problems that occur, and we can collectively grant a second chance for people. One of my good friends, Sarah, who is somebody who has studied Access Consciousness extensively, she was talking about, when you're in a no-win situation with your partner, to just have this moment where we say, okay, we are going to completely let go of everything that we hold about each other. So, if there's like this really stagnant sort of argument, often when you have an argument, other things get added in from past transgressions, and our minds are really good at going back in history. But wouldn't it be great if you could say, okay, let's draw a line here. From now on in, none of that counts anymore. We're just going to start afresh. all of a sudden your mind and your heart, it's like, it's free. You don't have all these extra weights to carry. It is about completely shifting and letting go. And I like that. It grants everyone a second chance, because even if you haven't consciously done anything horrible, if you've been, the idea of allowing everything and judging nothing, in judging something, even if you're not like going out and perpetrating some awful crime, your hard judgments about a situation is creating more charge, more emotional, psychic charge in the world. And we're all feeling it. We're all living in that. So I really see that this could be a beautiful letting go. And I can see, like it also says, some people have a sense of abandonment, or are feeling that other people haven't lived up to their responsibilities. Like some people maybe have to try harder than others. But to me, this still sounds quite good. It's interesting. I think there's going to be a very big shift around that Jupiter opposition. So it'd be interesting. So anyway, I'm going to go on to the forecast now, and I'm going to be looking at the energy of how you are awakening, how you can feel at peace, being one of these forerunners, understanding the sort of consciousness that's going on right now, the lifting up of everything. Just, how you can find your peace while the rest of the world is catching up. Maybe what one of your gifts is coming out as being, and also why you don't have to know everything, and what to do when you fear you don't know everything. So let's have a look at that now. Hey there, Aries. So this forecast is to give you a little bit of guidance around how the energies of the Galactic Centre are likely to be coming into your awareness, so that you can start to use the awakening feelings that the Galactic Centre really represents. So the Galactic Centre is the supermassive black hole at the centre of our galaxy. And, it is central to everything. It's the place, it's the source of all cosmic coding, cosmic awareness. It is, I think, it's a place of deep mystery, and where we kind of jump into the abyss of what we know and what we don't know. I think it's a source of where we come into our own powers. And this is what I want to talk to you about directly today, because the Galactic Centre is in a square right now to Neptune. It has been since 2023, but it's gone into it's going into 3 exact squares this year. The first has already happened back in March. Then we've got another one in November, and then another one in December. I speak about that a lot in part 1 if you want to know more about the details and the Sabian symbols that go along with those. And then as we go through into 2025, the Neptune square is still in operation for quite some time, but we've got the North Node inching towards that point, and also Saturn inching towards that point. So in April, we've got Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node all in a square, activating and kind of bringing to our conscious awareness the energy of the Galactic Centre. It's giving us a bridge into the galactic energy. And then a month later, Jupiter goes right into the exact opposition with it. So it's absolutely being really drawn in. I think the further away an energy is, the less easy it is to consciously integrate it. And yet, when you've got planets like Saturn and Jupiter, they're like the bridging planets, I think. They are able to touch us in a personal way and reach out further into space for us. So I really think that both Saturn and Jupiter are and also Neptune are really helping us to understand and integrate the energies of the Galactic Centre and what it represents. Now, the last time this happened was 164 years ago, and there were a lot of themes of polarity, polarity consciousness, the desire for liberation. So there's some really key themes which I think are really coming up right now as well. So we are coming into a time of deepening change. So what I want to share with you is how this might be affecting you. Like, how might you be awakening through this energy, how you might feel peace while this is going on, and also what happens if you're going through it and other people around you aren't. And then a little bit about the gifts that you might have, that you might realize. For me, what I realize about this with you, Aries, is that this galactic center is in a place of deep curiosity in your chart. You know, the ninth house is absolutely associated with politics and philosophy, quite a rational end, but then it's also mysticism, spirituality, religion, real deep contextual subjects, and it's the curiosity to learn, the curiosity to teach and share, and it's also the curiosity to be a mentor. So I think one of the gifts that's likely to come up as you use the energy of the galactic center, and that is one of deepening learning, but also of becoming a mentor or a teacher yourself in your own right, in your own way, with your own special formulas or ideas. This part of the chart is also about traveling and going further afield, like leaving what is known to you and going somewhere that's completely unknown. For instance, like leaving a continent and going somewhere that doesn't have a similar political or religious energy to the context that you know. Like if you're in America and you are going to chill out in I don't know, Malaysia for a while, that would be a very, very different kind of vibration. So it's like whenever you're going into the unknown, going somewhere where you've never been before, where you don't understand the rules at play, it takes you into a really sort of dreamlike state, and it awakens the deep curiosity that the galactic center represents for you. So every time you're doing this, you are activating a deepening into your own intuition, your own ability to know you can work it out, you can blend in. You know, this is, I think, about a deeper learning, a richer context. And through that richer context, the gifts of the galactic center, the extra awareness, the higher consciousness, it's there for you to use and to evolve through. Now, Neptune is in your 12th house. It's been there for ages. This is quite a tricky one, I think. You know, you might not even be aware that he's there, but Neptune in the 12th house just gradually creates quite a sort of confusing and also insightful unconscious reaction to things. So you might have noticed that some of your instincts and reactions and your intuition has really, really deepened, and it's probably been quite surprising and a bit confusing. You know, the Aries energy is known for being straightforward, and yet Neptune going through this part of your chart has probably awakened a latent intuition anyway. Of course, you've also had Saturn going through here for the last 18 months. And so, you know, Saturn going through here is building on your intuitive skills. Now, it can raise some of your insecurities as before, you know, and create a little bit of judgment around them. To me, that's an indication that whatever is coming up, it feels safe to come up. You know, the time is right for you to face yourself in a more intimate way. And yet, you know, Saturn here is creating enough of an energetic that you do make a shift on this. Then as the North Node is coming into this area, this is absolutely reminding you of similar situations, similar instincts. And so you may well find that there's this feeling of resonance with so many different situations. You know, you see something on the news and it takes you back to an older time. It's really linking into these older situations and why they're relevant now. So it's almost connecting the past and the future. The North Node is always highlighting our lessons, what we're needing to learn. And so it's bringing everything up so that you can shift through it. And so it's interesting. There's a lot of things going on here, and yet the galactic center is really pushing you out of your stories and into an adventure. and that's likely to create some tension. So, you know, as this goes, as this process goes, I actually think it could be much worse. You know, some of the signs I've been reading, I can see that the placement of this T-square is a lot more inconvenient and much less compatible to the energy of awakening. But for you, I think what is easiest and what moves the stagnant energies in your unconscious mind is actually the movement into the adventure, the risk that you might take, the unknown that you'll embrace. It really is diving into the abyss to experience all of everything and to have a whole new perspective, which of course in turn transforms all of this. Now, the only thing that I really see is holding you back is your community, the people around you. You know, as Jupiter comes into this place, there's this real feeling that there's a lot of excitement within your community, a desire to kind of get you really in your community. But actually, the more familiar you are, the more you understand why your insecurities or your self-sabotage and your upsets and things that are in sort of like labeled in the deeper recesses of your mind's program, it's almost normalizing it. You want to, I think if I was in your shoes, as I'm feeling a lot more awakened and that calling to move beyond what I know and move into the unknown, I think that is the key to moving on. And the more you stay with what is familiar and friendly and easy, the more you identify with your problems and insecurities. So I do think your awakening goes more smoothly, more easily, the more you challenge yourself and the more you are like up for the adventure and the new context. Maybe even deciding to study something that you maybe didn't have the confidence to study before, but now you feel really ready for it. There's a certain amount of maturity. And I think that's also key because the energy of the Galactic Centre is wise, it's deep, and it's leading you towards mentorship. And I think that is one of your gifts, the ability to normalize all this, like normalize and contextualize deeper messages, but then to be able to teach it out in a straightforward way. You know, so many other signs, you know, get mixed up in their words and stuff. I do as well. But the Aries energy is so straightforward and so on it. I think that you can break down the most complex and the most beautiful and the most unfathomable things and then deliver them in a seamless, straightforward way. So I think you're moving into more of a mentorship role. And I hope you find that interesting. So I hope that's been useful, Aries. Lots and lots of love to you. Enjoy your awakening. Taurus, right, this is for you if you've got your sun, if you've got your moon or your ascendant in this particular sign. And what I want to share with you, this is really about the awakening energy of the Galactic Centre, which is currently here. In fact, it would have been in this part of your chart for a really long time, like your whole life. You know, it won't have moved from there. The Galactic Centre moves a tiny amount, and it's the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. It is the source of inspiration. It's the without it we wouldn't be here. It's like the sun of our solar system. And so right now we've got Neptune in a square, and it's going to be exact on the 21st of November and exact on the 22nd of December when things get really super cosmic. And then early next year, in April, we've got the North Node coming into this square and also Saturn in this square as well with the Galactic Centre. So I want to talk about what this might mean. And then later, Jupiter is making a full-on T-square with the Galactic Centre. So how is this happening? So I guess the question is, how are you awakening? Well, I think for you, you are awakening from the sense of putting right all the things that have happened in your past. So all of the tragedies, all the drama, all the trauma, everything that hasn't gone well in terms of moving through life, through all your rites of passage. The 8th house is a place of real deep introversion and also deep patterns of the past, in particular genetic patterns to do with your family, and also to do with your ancestry. To me, right now, you are the leading edge of your family. And I think your form of awakening comes through the desire to be completely, a healing ray of light, so that you can draw a line to everything that's come before, so that no further relative of your line has to consider the things that have been considered before. So I think it's really coming from a place of correcting the past. The first thing that I would say in response to that, especially with the square to Neptune, the square to the North Node that will be coming up, and the approaching square with Saturn, is to not try to force this to happen, but to allow the sense of peace with your past. The point of forgiveness is really important. So I understand the desire to change from the past and to cut away from it, and to the necessity to move beyond the old traumatic and familial patterns. And yet, actually, one of the quickest principles that's going to allow you to move beyond this is that feeling of forgiveness in this 8th house, the feeling of forgiveness, the feeling of being completely okay. I remember I was listening to somebody recently that said, my aim was to be able to do something in 100 days. And if I couldn't reach that, I would still be at peace with it. And that's what I think is going on for you. So you have your idea that is automatically rising you up and awakening you. The Galactic Centre here is awakening you to heal your family line. And yet, if you cannot do it, if you cannot come out of that place, you will be at peace with what you have achieved. And I think when you are like that, that's in a real state of allowance, and that allows true miracles to come forwards. Now, with the Saturn, the North Node, and also Neptune in this area, one of the things that is a gift, but also sometimes difficult and limiting, is friends and networks. And I suspect a lot of that is coming from the fear of judgments. And the Galactic Centre here is in the house of judgments. I mean, the 8th house is full of judgments of shame, blame, guilt, anger, and the expectations that other people are putting on you. So you may feel that you're not able to proceed as quickly as you want to because of everyone else's judgments as to what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, when you should be doing it, and so on and so forth. Especially when Saturn and the North Node come up here, it feels like you absolutely have to, or maybe not have to, but you could absolutely choose to be the light in your own life that shows you what your moral compass is. If you're always getting your moral compass based on the collective outside of yourself, like society, what YouTube says, what Facebook says, what your local district is saying, and what your neighbors are saying, like everyone around you, and also what your work and like it is saying, if you are living your life based on everyone else's judgments and views of life, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to move forwards. And so the quickest way for you to feel at peace whilst the world is catching up, I think, is to be your own moral compass, to tune into yourself so much so that other people's opinions no longer are of interest to you, that you can say, that's interesting. Wow, okay, thank you for that. But it doesn't touch you. You are in your own place of light. You are in your own place of knowing. And so, I think the challenge right here is how can you connect with yourself at such a deep level that you can recognize that everything outside of you is just a performance. It's like a play, a show, something else. So I don't know how you're going to do that, but that's, I think, your challenge right now with the Galactic Centre here. I mean, you could even say this is your life challenge in terms of how you can awaken And it's one of your gifts, because obviously once you've awoken to this and you've become your own light, your own source of information, your own connection to all that is, you're in your full authority. That is your gift. That is a beautiful gift. And people talk about the Taurian energy, whether you've got Taurus moon, your sun, or your ascendant. One of the beautiful things about Taurus is their gorgeous voice, their absolutely beautiful voice. When you are channeling light, when you are in absolute alignment to the good for you, your voice, it's all going to flow through you. You might sing it. You might. I know somebody who channels poetry and sings it. She's got a beautiful voice. That might be one of the ways that you do it. But your voice and your light is absolutely what is fueling this. Now, you don't have to know everything, and that's the beautiful thing about the Galactic Centre. You don't have to know everything, but as you connect into it, everything can flow into you. So there's no worry about not having enough, not being enough. Your self-esteem, and that's one of the things to watch out for with the opposition to Jupiter, because Jupiter in this part may well show you where you don't have enough. Jupiter could inflame your sense of well-being and your belief in yourself if you are feeling the tension here. And yet Jupiter is also offering you the challenge to really up your ante. The more you believe in yourself and the more you believe in your connection to light, the easier it is. And so I think you have many gifts that are coming out with you during this awakening time. And I think unity consciousness can really arise under your guidance. I really believe that is possible. So there you go. I hope that's helpful in navigating some of those positions in your chart, Taurus. Hey there, Gemini. Now, I don't know if you've got your sun, your moon, or your ascendant in the sign of Gemini, but what I want to do in this short forecast about the awakening energy and how it might be stirring you to play your part, how it might be unraveling for you, I just want to sort of pace out where everything is. So the Galactic Centre has been here in your chart, almost as if when you're in the company of other people, you can connect into that sense of all that is. It's not something that you necessarily have to connect in with yourself, but it's your observations that all of life comes to you through the people in your life. So you don't have to go very far. You don't have to do much particularly. You just have to be very present to who is coming into your world, because everyone is bringing you messages, even animals, car number plates, wherever you're going, messages are coming at you from the outer world. So the part of the Galactic Centre is in the place of projections, everything that is outside of you. Now, the Galactic Centre is in a long-term square with Neptune right the way through to the end of this year, and really into midway of next year, it's in this square. And then in April of next year, you've got the North Node and Saturn joining Neptune in this square with the Galactic Centre. And then in May, Jupiter comes in, creating this T-square. Well, this T-square, like all of the steps of it are growing from now until really the end of May. It's coming into its fruition really, really slowly. And what I want to do is just sort of talk around how this might play out for you. So, other people and situations are showing you the way, and it's your quick mind that allows you to see things. So the more you're in allowance to listening to other people as they're coming into your life, not talking so much, but listening, the more you're present with the people around you, and noticing all of the little things they say and the songs on the radio and all the little clues that life is showing you, the more you are awakening. Now, the Neptune North Node and Saturn up here are really showing the pressures from the outside world. To me, it feels like the pressure to meet a career aspiration, to stand in the world in a particular way, to be seen in a particular way, is a really strong thing that you've been wanting. And the awakening energy that is really speaking to you from outside of itself is creating a bit of pressure for you in terms of your career. So, for instance, if you've got a a desire to be seen as an authority figure. You know, as Saturn comes here, Saturn is here already, but as Saturn comes into this square, your natural sense of authority in yourself, you might be afraid to lose it. You might be afraid to be perceived as somebody who connects in with spirits or other people or animals and messages on the back of cars. You know, so you may well find that your own sense of, is it disgust? I don't think it's disgust, but your own sense of maybe shame is coming up from the perspective of how people might react to you. So I think that's the key that is slowing it down and shortening and diminishing your opportunities to connect to others. So the first thing you might choose to work on, if you want to awaken more during this time, is how you can work with social shame, how you can work with the energy of being seen as different and not being seen as rational. As the North Node comes into this area, it's also going to ask you if you're in the right career. It's also going to create a sense of, you know, are you doing the right thing anyway? You might not be doing the right thing. And so in that place of curiosity about what you should be doing, again, you might think, okay, I don't have enough time for all of this magical BS. You know, it just feels a bit too much. I wish I could just cut off from it. And with Neptune going over here, funnily enough, Neptune would have brought more magic to your career anyway. So to me, it just feels like you're trying to hold yourself inside a box that can no longer hold you inside. You're growing outside of your box. And the more you can allow yourself to grow beyond what is required from you in terms of your job, your career, and maybe just push the boundaries out. Maybe you're meant to be working for yourself. Have you thought of that? Maybe you are. I hope so, actually, because then you can absolutely stand into the power of who you are. Now, that goes on to my next point, because as Jupiter is coming to the end of his time in your sign, you've had a lot of time to develop your brand, a lot of time to consider who you are and how you want to be in the world. And people would have got a very sort of strong idea of you. People are very dynamic when Jupiter is going through their first house. And so again, I think it's that loss of face, which is funny because, like, you know, Gemini is known as having two faces, but it's the fear of losing face, the fear of losing your reputation, the fear, and it's the fear that is stopping the awakening. So how can you feel at peace while the world catches up with you, and thereby it starts to create a world where you don't have to fear losing face, you don't have to fear being seen as difficult or different. For me, as I'm looking at this Gemini, I think the only thing you need to do is to learn to love yourself, even if you are the quirkiest little Gemini you've ever known. One of my friends shared with me this great saying by Dane here from Access Consciousness, and that is, what if the rightness of you, in fact, she's got Gemini ascendant. No, she's a Gemini, so she'll be watching this. Hey, Sarah. So what if the wrongness of you is the rightness of you? If you can hold that question with curiosity and with a sense of excitement, and explore, what if the wrongness of you is the rightness of you? All the things you've been ashamed of and embarrassed about, what if you could come to terms with them and not let them play on your mind? I think your gifts would absolutely start to come out. And that way you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be at the top of your game. You don't have to have the best reputation, but you just have to stay in that place of curiosity. And maybe that's your biggest gift, is this process is here to open you up, to really open you up to the gift of curiosity and playfulness. And I think I just think that's your biggest gift to the world. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. Lots of love to you. Cancer. So this is for you in terms of your ascendant. If you've got Cancer, Cancer Sun or Cancer Moon, this short forecast is about your awakening, the awakening process that's going on for most people. But how might you be experiencing it? If you are experiencing it, you know, not everyone wants to know about their awakening process necessarily. Well, the Galactic Centre has been here pretty much your whole life, and it probably will be, unless you live for another 200 years. It's going to be in this part of your chart, which is absolutely about allowing the cosmic into your day-to-day life, about not partitioning, yourself from the cosmic and the psychic and the intuitive world. It is about having it steadily, absolutely entrenched in your world, absolutely having the fragrance of it all around you. You know, if you could set up your life so that you could always be conscious, always be looking at the stars, always be appreciating nature around you, always being blessing your water and your food, you know, as you're preparing things. If you could bless everything that you were doing, I think your life would awaken quite quickly in quite a magical way. And actually, that's a really small thing to do. You know, when I'm talking to other signs, you know, the 8th house is actually quite a challenging one. This is quite helpful, actually. So it's not to take your home so seriously that it has to strictly follow particular narratives, but a sense of maybe serene pleasure might come from having an almost religious and spiritual expression in terms of how you're managing your life. So you might be one of these people that absolutely benefits from the teachings of, I can't remember what her name is, but the lady that teaches you how to fold your jumpers beautifully and pack everything away and be slightly minimalist even, which is, well, it's hard for a Cancerian, but you know, how to pack everything beautifully, like the whole art of looking after everything in your care, whether it's your pets, your clothes, your records, your bits of paper. If you saw my desk right now, you would know that I'm definitely not doing that. And I'm not a Cancerian, so there you go. Like your attention to the beautiful detail. It's the divinity of life that is allowing you to awaken. So the small part that you need to do to absolutely trigger it is to create peace at home, create peace on a daily basis for yourself with your food. I saw something, is it called fridgescaping, where people are landscaping their fridges. They're organizing everything in their fridge. I think these people have too much time on their hands, and that's an awful judgment from me. I apologize if you're doing it. I'm saying it with a bit of a twinkle in my eye, but the idea of getting everything beautifully aligned in your fridge, so that also feels good. It is the spiritual alignment of your life and allowing the flow. So feng shui would be a great thing also to practice. Now, Saturn is up here, or will be up here in April of next year, as will the North Node. But Neptune's already here. And this is providing you a bit of a challenge because, you know, your desire to get everything beautiful and neat at home is also frustrated by this need to see the world and venture out and also have a constant eye on everything otherworldly, outside of your homely, you know, far away, and to be on an adventure. As Saturn comes up here, you might even want to be a bit nomadic for a while. As the North Node comes up here, there is a real strong calling to almost leave your possessions behind a little bit and to embrace the unknown, to embrace something outside of your normal reality. And that's creating a massive tension. So I don't know if you could beautifully and divinely plan a bit of a retreat for yourself, or a bit of a, not a gap year, but a bit of space for yourself. If you could take some time off, or I don't know, do something exciting. You know, like if you can't go away, but you could kit out your car or your van, or like, I don't know, get a little tent, put in the back of your car and create a bijou, lovely little camping arena, so you can go out and about, you know, somewhere where you can keep the principles of a neat and orderly life, a divinely ordered life, whilst also getting a sense of adventure. Maybe you could even tie it in with writing about it, taking photos about it, meeting people who are on the same path as you, and learning and expressing it. That way you could be using the 9th house without getting yourself in a pickle at home, because the organization, the divine, almost like the music of the spheres, the idea that everything has its place and its own frequency, is also what needs to come out at home. Now, the last thing coming in, and that would be the Jupiter aspect. Jupiter is coming into this part of your chart to absolutely awaken this rush of consciousness. And so I think the more you're doing this, the more Jupiter is, as he's coming into this final opposition, Jupiter's already in this house, building up this sense of latent intuition and psychic abilities, and is making it really quite big, so you can't ignore your intuitions. Actually, as this opposition comes in, I actually don't think this is too difficult to work with. What I would say is it's important to listen to what is coming up from your unconscious mind. So if fears suddenly come up, sit with your fears, but maybe create something neat and beautiful, so that your fears can be beautifully looked at, or beautifully drawn out, beautifully illustrated. I just think everything that is coming up as a challenge can be dealt with at the level of divine beauty, divine space, and divine order. So I don't know if that helps with your energy right now, Cancer. You don't have to know everything, and you don't have to know the place of everything. But if ever you're unsure, you can always ask the things in and around your home how they want to be. I ask my plants. I'm just doing some divine ordering myself. I've got stand-in plants, 2 or 3 for every one of my hanging plants. And I'm asking which plants wants to be subbed in. I speak to my plants. So, you don't have to know everything, but you can develop a relationship to the world that you're living in. And to me, that is part of your gift, is understanding the space and design of everything. And who knows where that will lead. You might end up actually studying feng shui or beautiful home design, or how you can incorporate like divinity and real estate. I don't know, but there is something much bigger that will come out of this, Cancer, and that will be your gift. So I hope that's helpful to you. Lots and lots of love. Hey there, Leo. So this is an interesting little forecast for me to do, because wow, this is about awakening, and I'm feeling more upbeat with each sign that I look at. I'm going to be high as a kite by the time I get to Pisces. I really will be. So the Galactic Centre, it's been in this part of your chart your whole life. You're a creative at heart, and when you are creating something, it feels like an absolute like you're gifting the world. Sometimes the things that are coming up in terms of your creations, you don't even know where they come from, but they come from this deep sense of responsibility for everyone, a deep need to share, a deep desire for there to be happiness and joy and peace and love, because the 5th house is all about passion and love and joy. So you are, through your creations, trying to create more passion and joy, and maybe more connectedness, more intimacy. The 5th house is definitely about intimacy. Sensuality is a big one. You may have even been quite tempted to explore things like, what's it called? Tantra, like tantric intimacy. Explore the intimacy and the energy between you and a special partner. Now, what is in a square to this energy is Neptune, the North Node, and Saturn. Now, Neptune's already there. The North Node will be coming in from, it's really getting closer from December. And then, in January, it's really heading in there. And then Saturn is moving into this space. So the thing that's really holding you back from that completely free experience and that sense of awakening through your creations, the thing that's holding you back is everyone else's judgments. Truly, oh my goodness. Now, looking at your chart all the time on a weekly basis, as I do, I know that you're going through some massive shifts, and you've had Uranus up here for a long, long time. And Uranus here is absolutely about getting you to be a lot more spontaneous and a lot more shocking and out there and unstructured and independent. So I would be surprised if this strong square energy to your 8th house is as strong as it would be if Uranus wasn't there. So what you might find is you have a greater awareness right now of the pain and trauma of the past that is actually leading you to want to produce things of joy, material that creates joy and happiness for people, or connection with people. So to me, what this is suggesting is Neptune, the North Node, and Saturn is showing you your past and your desire to heal others through the gift of love and joy, and your particular way of doing it. Now, Saturn going through this may well bring up the awareness of more things to be healed. And as the North Node joins Saturn and Neptune, and the North Node joins Saturn and Neptune here, you may well find that the exact square to the Galactic Centre, where you've sort of awakened yourself and are awakening yourself more and more through your creations, more of the pain is coming up to be dealt with. To me, that looks to be, a bit of a challenge. What I think is going on right now is almost like a final goodbye of energies that don't fit in your life, never did fit in your life, energies you've grown apart from. I do think there will be a departure. You may also find that old attitudes of blame, shame, guilt, and anger, and other people's expectations, that you're almost shattered awake, like the final sort of energy of, actually, is this going to bother me anymore? Or am I just going to let this go? To me, it feels like a huge release. And it might come in first as a huge attachment that grows and grows and grows. And then you say enough. And you say enough with the voice that is heard. To me, it feels like you get to that point where it absolutely, finally, you make that decision, it's going to clear. You can't actually change the way people think about you. You can't. There's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is you can think about yourself the way you want to think about yourself. And you can let people off the hook about how they think about you. You realize it's none of your business. So I think you're going to get to this point where you realize where your limits are, and actually make that decision that your desire to create and to be in that space of love and joy, to be in that space of intimacy is actually so much more what you need. And if anything, this energy here is giving you more of an impetus to create. And with your Uranus up here, you can be sure your ideas will get wilder and deeper and more expanded. Now, Jupiter, as he comes through here, is also providing you another catalyst to go into yourself. And that is, it's not so much about other people judging you from the place of home and the family and old stuff. It's also that there are new people around you doing things in a different way, saying, oh, this is the quickest way, this is the right way, this is the way that's more aligned to everyone else, this is the way everyone else is doing it. And actually, for you, that's just pushing you into your own style more, which is actually what you need. How can you feel at peace whilst the rest of the world is catching up with your growing sense of peace in doing what you want to do? The only thing you can do is just do what you want to do. Just absolutely stick to it. Absolutely allow it in. You were born with the Galactic Centre here for a reason. Leo's, the energy of Leo is absolutely about creation. And so the more you're in that space of creation, you are creating the energy of self-expression. And hopefully everyone else will just get off your back and mind their own business and sort themselves out. I'll do me, you do you. So I think sticking to your guns and enjoying the magic of creation is the way. It's the way forward, and it's the way through. It's one of your greatest gifts to sort of trust that what you love doing is what is needed, even if no one's biting your hand off for it, even if it feels like you're doing it to yourself. Still carry on. Don't give up. The idea of you being creative is actually healing the world, even if you can't see it. And you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything about your next creation. All you have to do is feel into it. And if you ever are unsure, just follow the breadcrumbs that life is giving you. Ignore the breadcrumbs that are coming from the people in your life that are judging you, and just follow the breadcrumbs that life is showing you. So there you go, Leo Ascendant. I hope that's helpful for you, my love. And I hope this awakening process that we all seem to be in right now really, really resonates with you, so that you can create so much more. When I understand, the Uranus up here and how that might be relating to your path, I just think what you're going to come out with is really phenomenal. The more you do it, the easier it gets as well. So there you go. Lots of love to you. Hey there, Virgo. So this is a Galactic Centre forecast for you, showing you maybe how you're awakening in quite a crazy world. What's your role? What are you doing during this time? So the Galactic Centre has forever and a day been in this part of your chart, which is very much about the home, very much about your stability, your resilience, your childhood, maybe one of your parents as well. And also the idea of your family and maybe even becoming a parent yourself. So yeah, this Galactic Centre is a place where the cosmic energy and the ability to tune in to life and tune into so much more than what we see with and feel and hear with our five senses. This is what allows you to channel and to feel connected into all that is. So that's what I want to sort of explore. Now, right now, the Galactic Centre is obviously here, but Neptune, which has been in this part of your chart for a really long time, making it sometimes a bit difficult to sort of perceive what your partners and friends are meaning. To me, it feels like there's a lot of weakness around you, like you've had a lot of people needing you for strength, and really relying on the safety that they get from you, that level of strength and certainty that they get from you, and the fact that you just like to be of service as well. Your ability to stay organized has kept people in need of you, and so to me it almost feels like your awakening is coming from that feeling of being at home and being around family. And yet the people in your life, in your family, have quite possibly been needy and really sort of dragging them into your situations, which will have created some real tension. For somebody who has the template of learning and expressing from home and really developing your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, like being able to read auras or whatever it is that you can do, that you do better than other people. Maybe it's hands-on healing. I don't know exactly, but to me, it feels like your energies come on in the presence of stability and in the presence of maybe connecting to the sense of mother, whether it's your own mother or grandmother, or, which again is instantly making me feel that maybe there's a family connection, maybe there's a family gift or something that you've picked up on from different generations. But the more crazy people are around you, and the more needy, and then also passively demanding, almost as if you've been on a journey of I don't want to say gaslighting, because that might be too strong, and I don't want to speak ill of the people in your life, the people who are special to you. But to me, it feels like, you've had lots and lots of distractions, and if you could have only kept your sense of reality like really pure and stable, and felt really calm in yourself, it would have been much easier. You wouldn't have had to struggle as much as you have. Now, in this particular square, which has been going all year, the people and their drama and their insecurity, and I mean, they're all also highly creative and also highly lovable as well. And maybe it's their creativity and their lack of boundaries that have created a lot of the situations that they find themselves in. But to me, it's been hard to get your space. It's been hard to get that sense of connection, because you felt like you've been pulled out of your center somewhat. Now, as you are going through the rest of the year, I would absolutely recommend that how can you feel peace while the world is catching up with the need for peace and awakening? I absolutely recommend that the more you can do at this latter part of the year to stay at home, to develop like to develop hobbies that you do at home that are done in privacy, and maybe also investigate the timeline or the genetics of your family. Try and find out the history, try to get a sense of the past and how the past has led to where you are now, because it's almost like every time you get a new piece of information, there's a new key that unlocks for you. There's a new understanding. And it's like every time you're understanding where you come from, your origins, you get clearer in yourself. So, yeah, I absolutely think the more you can get to yourself, the more time you have for yourself, the more clarity you are developing, and the more you're tuning in and tapping into the cosmic skills that are available to everybody. But for you, it really comes from being at peace and being home and being very stable. Now, as we're coming into next year, the North Node will be applying into this square, showing that there's something that keeps repeating and coming up to be analysed. And it's coming up again and again and again. And you might be about to deal with it for the last time, which could be good. You might also ask yourself, well, what was happening about 18 or 19 years ago with other people, their patterns that are distracting me off my cosmic path or off my sense of awakening to who I am? Because that would have also been the last time the North Node was in this area. And you've also got Saturn coming up, showing that there could be some quite tough lessons that maybe you will need to be a bit harder with the people around you. It might be that you actually have to say, look, I'm available here and with these terms, and I'm really happy to help you to the full extent that I can, but only when my boundaries are being respected. If you're not respecting my boundaries, I'll take that as a sign that you aren't serious about me helping you. So I get the feeling that, there's something that you're needing to share with other people in terms of how you want to operate. And that might be the difficulty. That might be that whilst you're very good at some boundaries, managing people who appear weak or who might appear a little bit like a victim, that's hard for you to manage. That's harder than you maybe want to deal with. And so I do see that coming up, that the repeated issue of patterns in your life is coming up again and again. And it's giving you so much of a need to check in with yourself that in and of itself, it is helping you to awaken, believe it or not. The more other people are bringing drama to you, the closer you're actually getting to fully accepting your needs need to come first. And maybe until that time arrives, it's going to be really hard for you to awaken into the sense of who you are. So I do see it, there is some solitude that you're craving and a real need to communicate to people, the people here that are showing up in your life. Look, I really need you to honor that. They are also bringing all sorts of extra stuff, with Saturn coming here, it's like you should, you could, you ought to. And so these kind of energies and judgments of you are also, you want to avoid that from happening. As the year progresses, Jupiter is coming into this top spot. Jupiter's already up here. Showing that there's a lot of energy pulling you out of your home as well, pulling you into your career, pulling you into more people knowing about what you do, and a sense that you actually need to be out of your home, earning a living and showing up and developing a reputation. And so Jupiter has enlarged a lot of the opportunities for you, has really brought them on in leaps and bounds. And that also appears to have taken you off your unique search for yourself. Really, how can you feel at peace while the world catches up? I actually think, even though like the idea of the career is dazzling you, glittering on the distance, and even though everyone else's dramas are absolutely kind of a bit tantalizing, a bit like, when someone says, do you want to hear some gossip? And immediately you say no, and then you think, oh, is there something I need to know? So there are these huge energies trying to draw you away, and yet they are serving you. They are getting you so peed off with the outer life that you finally embrace the inner life. Now, I don't think you need much. I really don't think you need much at all to be able to awaken to yourself and to develop your core skills. Like I said, finding out about your past and honoring your past and honoring your space, creating a space for yourself, which might be an altar. It might be a reading place, a place where you read, a place where you meditate. It could be any one of those things, but creating space, creating an intention. And by intention, I don't mean sitting there and like writing, I am blah, 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 by this date, blah, blah, blah. What I mean is the intention of a routine or a gentle adherence to something. I did share something like that actually to, who was two before you? Leo, because I get that Leo could really do with, or was it Cancer? Cancer could really do with the regularity of, the beauty in and divinity in peace at home. But for you, it's not so much about being organized, even though you are highly organized. For you, it's about the groundedness. So you might actually need a space outside, or a space by a window with lots of plants around you and crystals, or whatever it is that helps you feel grounded and attached to the world, rather than to neatened space. Actually, you want to avoid the neatened space, but absolutely go to nature first, because that is where life comes from. I don't know about the order of life of how humans evolved. I know what we've been told. I'm slightly skeptical about everything I've been told. In fact, I unless I'm there, I don't know what's happened. There you go. But there is something that we all know about nature, that feeling of belonging, that feeling of connection to the ground that is almost inescapable. When we put our feet on the ground, we know that we are of the world and not of the house. So whatever you can do, and it might be walking in your locality, but walking in solitude, but there's something to do outside that really helps your body to awaken, and your mind to release some of the worries and concerns. Now, one of your gifts, I think, is the gift of peace, and the gift of accepting peace, and the gift of allowing home, and the gift of allowing connection. Where the Galactic Centre is almost saying, you can feel me even here on Earth. You don't have to go off into space. You don't have to go off into a different country. You don't have to go on an expensive, retreat where you live in the hills and chant every day. You don't have to do any of that. The Galactic Centre can be felt when you're being natural and home. And that will give you everything that you need to learn about the world. And it's as if nature is informing you that sense of peace. And so the more you can do that whilst the world catches up, the better off you'll be. The great news is for you, I mean, you're a Virgoan, you like to appear to fit in. It's very easy to appear to fit in whilst you're going for a walk and just sitting in your garden. I mean, that's actually really quite acceptable. People won't think you're doing something freaky like awakening. They'll just think, oh, look, there's a person connecting. And actually, they may well think, oh, I should be doing that as well. I should be sitting in my garden. I should be going for a walk. There is something about being in the elements right now that is connecting you to more. It's like it's stirring up the spirit. Now, is there something else I need to share with you? Yeah, the last thing I want to share with you, Saturn here in the seventh house can also show where you're judging the people around you, and with Jupiter up here, this can also show where there are lots of big energies around you, big energies from your career, but also where you might get quite big. I think it's also time to not judge other people. I mean, you might already be there anyway, but I think as of early spring next year, you may well find that you're starting to get impatient with people and saying, look, you need to pull your finger out. You need to take full responsibility for yourself. And it's okay to talk plainly, for sure. And when you start to feel that you're going into judgment and judging the other, that's going to cause you to separate from all of nature. You know, it's a separation. And anywhere where we have separation in our life, the energy of separation is playing out again and again and again and again. So for you to feel awakened within nature, not only do you have to feel connected to all that is in nature, you know, notice the plants and appreciate every single plant, every single blade, every single creature. But if you're also at the same time holding the energy of, I love all of nature, but can't stand Mavis down the road because she's such a whinge bag, that is creating the separation. So the more you can come out of that separation and think, oh, Mavis, you have your place. Thank you for being here. You know, that will really, really help you. So I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. I hope that's helpful just to understand where some of the godliness and the psychic impetus comes to you from the Galactic Centre. You know, I hope that's helpful. So anyway, catch you another time. Bye for now. Okay, Libra ascendant. So this is for you. And I don't know if you've got like Libra ascendant. It actually says ascendant here. It's not meant to say that. Oh, well, done it now. It's also for Libra sun and also Libra moon. You know, use whichever one works for you. Now, what I'd like you to get from this, and this is about how you might be awakening with the energy right now that we're picking up on from the Galactic Centre and the square from the Galactic Centre to Neptune. Neptune's been in here, this part of your chart, for a really long time. And the Galactic Centre has always been here, which is interesting. So we need to explore this because to me, awakening energy that comes to you is more of a communal thing. And it comes from your community. It comes from a sense of need and how you want to bless your community. It also comes from the sense of a rich family life, you know, like knowing your cousins or your siblings, or, you know, having a connection to the extended family, which obviously leads you into your community. You know, it might be that you've grew up with loads of neighborhood friends and, you know, you're still in touch with your peer group from school or something. But to me, it's the familiarity around you that allows you to relax and feel at peace enough that more can come into your reality. You know, the Galactic Centre is really speaking to you through your community. It's speaking to you. It's revealing itself through the strength of your relationships. It's revealing itself to you through the strength of the sharing between you and the people around you. So, for instance, when you get on really well with somebody, the energy that bubbles up between you, you know, that rawness, that raw, complete energy, you know that feeling, don't you? You know, where things rise up and all of a sudden you get really excited and you get flushed in your skin maybe, or feel like these little goosebumps all over you. But it's that feeling of, oh my God, and it raises you up in such a way that not everyone experiences as much as you. There is something really dear to you in terms of your locality, the familiarity, and the people of your of your everyday world, feeling like you fit in. That's something really special. And I think actually that is where you experience the hand of God, or the feeling that you are a child of light. When you feel connected to what's around you in terms of the people and the messages and the connections, then you feel absolutely connected beyond yourself. You feel connected outside, which is absolutely special, really, really special. Now, this particular Galactic Centre is in a square to Neptune, like I said, and Neptune has been going through this part of your chart for ages, and it's creating a sense of, crikey, what do I need to do to feel stable in my life? It feels like things are a bit more creative. I can't necessarily trust how everything's going to go. Things feel a bit different. I would like to have a bit more of a creative or spiritual approach, and yet everything just feels a bit unmanageable or slightly out of hand. Almost like you can't get a sense of boundaries in how you're managing your time, how you're managing your energy, how you're managing your body, etc. Now, next year, the North Node is going to be coming closer and closer and applying into this square, really showing that the struggle that you've had in terms of getting your life right is really coming up a notch. You know, it feels like there's a real need for you to get the balance at home, and the balance in your life. So it's not just about home, but it's about your home, your work, your body, your diet, your shopping. Are you doing all those routine appointments that you might need to do? What about paperwork? If you have any paperwork you need to do, your taxes, things like that, you know, all of those regular things that keep that routine going. The North Node is going to come in and show you why you need it. So if you haven't had it enough recently, the North Node is going to come and show you how to get it back. And actually the pleasure of having a life that makes sense. When it doesn't make sense, again, it feels like your greater life or your understanding of the world doesn't make sense. Saturn is also in this place right now, and you know, you'll already be aware of where your life's not working, because Saturn will have been kicking your butt a little bit in terms of getting everything right. Maybe you're not able to pay your bills quite as effectively as you once had. Maybe the technology has changed, or I don't know, something's changed, it's less manageable. And so it's about getting everything in place. I mean, you know, it might be that you've got children as well, you know, and that's really hard to manage everything when you also got children, because they often come first and everything else goes second. So I don't know what's going on in your unique circumstances that is stopping the regular flow of how you might live your life, but that's a real big challenge for you. And so when you're challenged at home, and then you're not in your kind of meeting space and your friendship space, and that space to be open within your community, it feels like you're suffering in some way. So how can you feel at peace and move with the energy of awakening, which is absolutely wanting you to resonate with the people around you and resonate with the natural sense of excitement and connection that you naturally foster with people, especially people that remind you of home, you know, that feeling of belonging that you've always had. How can you focus on that whilst your sort of everyday life just feels a little bit strained and is trying to get back into balance? So that's a big question. Jupiter is also, I mean, obviously we've got the Jupiter and Saturn square that's going on, and I did a separate reading about that. But Jupiter is in opposition to this. It's coming into this, and Jupiter is also trying to get you out and about, actually beyond your preferred location, like way beyond your peers and your family and your friends and the familiar. Jupiter's really opening up opportunities for you. So I don't know exactly how you're going to manage it exactly, but the Galactic Centre is really suggesting that your connection to the world, your connection to all the answers that will solve these problems or solve the tension of being in two minds, of wanting to be around everything that you know and feel stable around, whilst also wanting to go on an adventure and to go off into the wild. You know, the Galactic Centre here is really saying, you already know everything you need to know. Everything you don't know is going to come in via the people around you. Life comes to you wherever you are. You don't actually have to go too far. And so for me, this isn't a huge dynamic to resolve, not as difficult as the other signs. What I would say is the more you go into this space here, the place of your Galactic Centre, the more you share within your neighborhood, the more you teach and share with friends, the more groups, like subject groups, you know, like groups of people who are your natural brothers and sisters, the more you can connect with people with like minds and shared skills, with these little weekend seminars or these little get-togethers at somebody's house. The more you're getting involved at a local level, the more you are connecting with the Galactic Centre energy, the more you're making yourself useful, the more you're listening to other people's needs and getting involved and rising up, the more that things are falling into place. I really truly think that as you are really activating the energy of the local and the familiar and being the kind of kind, compassionate person that you are, the offers of help are going to come in for the other things. So, for instance, you might get invited on a holiday or something, or, somebody might have a ticket for something somewhere else out of town, or you might have somebody who says, you've really helped me out here. How about I do smiling for you or something like that? To me, it feels like the more you are sharing within your own local community, the more you are doing to create the awakening. To me, it's not so much about you awakening and you coming into your own sensitive powers, but it's like a brotherhood. The more you help everyone else around you come into this space, the more it's happening in you. So if I could just leave you with that, the more you are helping other people come into their own knowing of awakening, even if you haven't got there yourself, the more you're doing to help other people connect and feel that like special bond with you, the more you're doing in the world to raise your vibration and the collective vibration. Everything else will sort itself out. There's not much you need to do, in fact, other than just focus here. Don't let your home and your sort of like everyday living distract you too much. It shouldn't be too much of a distraction. It might just be that you need to do one thing at a time and take it from there. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I hope it is. Lots and lots of love to you. Hey, Scorpio. So, this particular reading is absolutely about exploring the energy of awakening. The Galactic Centre is here in your chart. It's been here the whole of your life. It won't have shifted much. It's shifted 1 degree in about 70 years. So it's not going anywhere. It's pretty much stuck here. Now, right now, the Galactic Centre is we're feeling its energy a lot more right now because it's lining up with Neptune, and it has been for some time, and it will be for at least another 9-10 months. It's also going to be in a square to Saturn as Saturn arrives there next April, and also as the North Node arrives there next April. So there's, a square to Saturn, the North Node, and Neptune at the same time. And then the next month in May, Jupiter is coming into that opposition to the Galactic Centre. So this is all really sort of important energy, so how is Neptune, Saturn, the North Node, and Jupiter going to show up the Galactic Centre in your life in a way that's going to allow you to raise your vibration, raise your internal level of awareness, raise up your sense of psychic ability, your ability to connect, your ability to tune in, which is obviously quite phenomenal. Scorpios are very well known for their ability to tune in. So how are you awakening? Well, one of the contributions I really see that you're doing during this time is learning about divine reciprocity, and in particular, divine receivership. You're coming into a time of allowing the universe to really support you, and allowing you to be prospered by life. Now, that sounds like you might need to do a whole heap of law of attraction style endeavors. But actually, what I want to share with you right now is that's not necessary. Actually, what's really necessary, I mean, you can do it if you want, but what's really necessary is just being open to receiving. Earlier in this show, I shared a slide that one of the community had written, Eloise, and it was based on access consciousness. And it said, consciousness, I can't remember the exact words, but it's about where consciousness allows everything and judges nothing. And so if you were in a space of not judging your finances, if you were in a space of not judging your belongings, your home, how you feel people judge you, are you likable, what's your self-esteem, are you judging yourself? Like everywhere where you're judging yourself and your ability to have a fantastic life, you are stopping the flow of receivership. You're stopping life showing you the magic. You are absolutely stopping the flow of good to you. And so the first thing, and possibly the only thing that you really need to do during this time, as far as I can see, is go into a place of radical receivership. Like radical receiving. Are you ready? Do you feel deserving enough? Like really, truly deserving enough to radically receive? Do you feel like if a sum of money came your way that you didn't actually earn, you know, with your hard work and with your energy, would you be happy to accept it? Or would there be a part of you judging it, like, why did that come to me? I don't deserve that. I didn't do anything for that. I feel quite uncomfortable about that. So it's like, how can you ditch your judgments of everything that is good that is coming to you? And then the next part of this, I think, is how can you absolutely be open to all opportunities and not cut them off right from the start? You know, so you might have an idea of, oh, I'm happy to receive everything from this area, but nothing from there, because that feels a bit dangerous. And I understand that, you know, we've been taught to discern, but, you know, I don't think the learning here is about managing your boundaries. Your learning here is about letting everything in. And then when it's in and you've received it, then saying, thank you, this isn't for me. You know, so you're allowing people to help you before you like throw it away. It's like allowing the energy to come in. The more you can do that, the more you're sort of energizing the energy of the Galactic Centre that wants to prosper you, that wants you to receive a lot, and to absolutely allow life to gift you. And if you can learn that and learn how to do that, I really think that the next thing that you are like gifting the world with is how you can help other people to gift themselves, how you can allow other people to trust that life is supporting them. You know, how can you show that? So you might have already found that things like the law of attraction and similar philosophies have attracted you, have caught your attention, because you're naturally tuned into that idea. But your judgments, and of course Pluto really does judge quite a lot, and you know, the energy of Mars can also be a little bit on the judgmental side, you know, because Mars is like so action oriented. If anything isn't taking action by default, it you know, it looks weak. So, you know, get into the energy of not judging. Now, why is this important? Well, you know, Neptune has been here for a long time, and it's been encouraging you to be creative and to let your creative juices run wild. And if you've been judging your deservability and completely judging everything that you put out, all of your creation, you would have absolutely stifled yourself and stopped yourself, you know, before you even got going. So it's really important to let the divine flow in, because as you're welcoming in the divine flow, like if you had a statement for yourself, like, I am the flow, I am the flow. I am the flow of good in my life. I'm the liberation of good. I am, you know, so like the more you're pulling that to yourself, the more you can actually free yourself up to create from that place of your divine inspiration. But actually the tension here, I think, is from not trusting that life is going to put you in exactly the right place for that to happen. And you might not even know what you're going to create. That's part of the difficulty, but actually you just need to show up, and then it comes into play. You know, when you show up, you know exactly what to do in the moment, because, you know, Scorpios are very good at knowing how to save and rescue and to get on with things. You know, Mars and Pluto create a really strong Scorpio energy. So yeah, I think this is really helpful. Now, obviously, this is about your ascendant, but also about your sun, also about your moon. If you've got like any of those in Scorpio, receivership will be activating the galactic center energy for you. Now, towards the end of like the square between the galactic center and Neptune, Neptune is going to be in a square really until way past this Jupiter time, but around spring of next year, the North Node is going to come in and really get you to trust in your creations and trust in the joy you're trying to bring the world. And Saturn is going to try and get you to create more. One of the things to maybe, you don't have to create more, but if you can be disciplined in how you're creating, that might be helpful. And there's some kind of painful learning. I don't know where in the past you failed, where you felt like you put a lot of effort in and it didn't yield anything. You may well have carried that into your creativity right now, so that it stopped you from creating because you just thought, what's the point? I've gone all out before and it's never worked. But when you went out all before, you didn't have the receivership open and flowing. So that's the key. The last thing, Jupiter up here, is really showing the energy of other people, maybe telling you what you're worth, or telling you what you're worth to them. In the area of shared assets and shared space, where there are some shared expectations on you, you might feel that detracts a little bit from the galactic center. You're not meant to be receiving for everyone else. Right now, you're meant to be receiving for yourself. It's not that it can't be extended out to your family, but you need to perfect it with yourself first. The more you perfect it with yourself, and the more comfortable you get with being utterly unafraid and utterly expecting of being looked after, the easier you can then extend it out to your family and friends. But until you learn to do it for yourself, I think Jupiter here is just going to me, it feels like the people around you are bringing you more and more and more weight to get you to kind of connect and kind of prosper them. I think for some time you might just have to say, look, right now, I am doing this for myself. I'm perfecting my own technique. I'm getting used to my own sense of creatorship. Once I've got that under control, then I will extend it and work with you. So I think keep it to yourself for now. Enjoy the process, notice what you're learning, make notes and review them, and don't stop. Just absolutely don't stop. The more you do that, the more creative you're going to get. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. Lots of love. Hey there, Sagittarius. So this is absolutely about your moon, your sun, or your ascendant. And I don't know which one, which side of you is Sagittarius, but this is to help you out. So right now, we've got a situation where we've got a galactic center in a square with Neptune. And in your chart, it just so happens that the galactic center is absolutely about your identity. Like this feeling that you really are cosmic, like the knowing that you're cosmic, the knowing and feeling that you're on a mission, you've always been on a mission, and the internal knowing of it is really strong. It's really growing at the moment. Now, this square has been coming in really before we were even in 2024, and it will go on beyond right to the end of 2025. But, this particular square is going to birth two other squares and an opposition. So in April of next year, the North Node is going to come into this place where Neptune currently is, and create a square with the galactic center. Saturn is going to come into a square and, square the galactic center. So there's a lot of energy, galactic center, the cosmic person in you, the cosmic identity, the cosmic I am cosmic, that knowing that you are a cosmic being. That is the thing that is being triggered and is being growing. So I don't know where you've had that sense of there's something bigger about you than you've ever realized before. I don't know where that came in your reality, but right now you are at a time of change, a deep acknowledgement of your path. You're much more aligned now to spiritual principles, or the principles of just wanting to be in joy and being in the sense of creation. When you're creating something, and really coming to the core of who you are. There's a real joy in that, you know. So the Galactic Centre wants to come through you. It wants to kind of fill your body. To me, it feels like the energy of eternity. You know, I don't know what that means for you exactly. Like, are you trying to work with your body? So the eternal energy, the eternal spirit, the eternal life force, the magnetism, the electromagnetism, whatever it is, the spark of life and the spark of humanity. Are you trying to curate that, narrate that in your life, trying to make more of it for yourself? If so, that's definitely something that's worth doing. To me, this is a bit of a Peter Pan, or a bit of a wow, it's like Peter Pan and Merlin and the pixie, the little fairy in Peter Pan who's named Tinkerbell. You know, it's the magical and also the fun and the spontaneous. You know, as the connection to the Galactic Centre is activated by Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node and Jupiter, it's like there is a more strong feeling of needing to be yourself, you know, to like to fly out of a window. No, obviously I don't recommend that, but, you know, to believe in miracles and to believe in fairy tales, to believe in something outside of the usual narrative that you have been connected with so long. Really, what I'm getting here is the energy to believe in something outside of you and outside of the worldly narrative that you've been shown thus far. So what does that say about your narrative? You know, seeing the magic outside of you. Well, if you can see it outside of you, it's in you. You know, the more magical you are, the more you notice magic around you, the more you're noticing the magic within you and the source within you, the creator within you. So I think this is a really strong energy. Now, at the with the square to Neptune, it's slightly wet and slightly kind of damp at home. You know, Neptune at home creates some interesting scenarios. For instance, it feels like there's a never-ending source of something not quite working. So, you know, there's a need to tune in more at home, and a need to like make things work a bit more seamlessly. To me, like Neptune in the 4th house can bring up a lot of disorder, a lot of emotions. That's why I said dampness. You know, that energy of weakness and possible victimhood. You know, that maybe something goes wrong in the home. Maybe you're not at home. Maybe you haven't found the right home to feel really grounded, and so you feel slightly awash in the world, like you don't know where you belong. And there's no real certainty. Neptune in this area can create a need to recognize the home in your body where no obvious home connection can be made. It can also create a certain apathy. And also Saturn coming through this part of your chart can also create an apathy and also a feeling of slight reserve, like you don't want to be out and about so much right now. You want to be tucked away, comfortable. You know, it can be a time when our energies are particularly sort of frazzled and fried, you know, like that you're easily overwhelmed by life, and maybe not feeling as strong as you want. With Saturn coming through here and then the North Node coming through here, there really is a strong need to get strong in your physical body, not just in your home, but in your physical body. So I think in terms of this awakening energy right now, Sagittarius, I would absolutely advise you to use your sense of hope and optimism, the sense of fairy tales, the sense of heroes. That's the word I think I'm looking for, the sense of the heroic. If you can find the inner hero within you, the inner archetype of the hero, and, you know, there's lots of heroes in our mythology. There's lots of heroic stories of people who've done beautiful and highly sensitive things, highly sensitive feat. But right now, I really get the the quickest place for you to feel at peace is to develop a really strong feeling in your physical body, so that you can feel calm in your physical body, even if it doesn't feel like your physical home is up to scratch. So wherever you're feeling separate from your home, my advice to you is to develop your body. Feel nimble in your body, feel flexible in your body, feel strong in your body, feel alive in your body. Anything that's causing weakness and tiredness and inflammation and things like that, if you can work on them through a sense of miracle, and also you can use your physical means as well, but anything of the hero and the Peter Pan story, that feeling of the eternal youth, the eternal consciousness, if you can allow it to, I'm not talking about you taking in an entity or a being or anything like that, but it's like, how can you recognize yourself in that? There are so many different archetypes and images and things that we can tune into. And right now, the energy of like a resurrection, I mean, it could be Jesus, coming back from the dead, literally the energy of rising up, the energy also of playfulness, because Sagittarius is quite playful, the energy that helps you to feel more youthful and alive. The more you harness that in the body via the Galactic Centre, via your core, the easier life is going to be. As this all kind of works out, Jupiter over here is going to try and distract you. And so around about, towards the end of May, Jupiter is likely to I think show up with some fun people around. You may well find that the people around you are bigger than ever, quite dramatic and really wanting to do stuff. And actually, what I would advise is, if you can build your energy every single day, and it might be, through a meditative practice, or I don't know how you're going to do it, but probably some actual action will need to take place as well. But the more you build up your energy, I think the better, because when Jupiter comes along, whilst oppositions can sometimes create a lot of tension, this one I think could create a lot of excitement. So if you could build up your energy reserves so that the playfulness of Jupiter can also activate this feeling of awakening, I think you'll do really, really well. So I'm going to leave that there for you. I think one of your biggest gifts right now is the ability to see the hero in yourself and the hero in everyone else, and to recognize that you are part of an eternal source. And that the more you recognize that, the more you become that. So there you go. I hope that's helpful for you in balancing out the awakening energy of the Galactic Centre and making sense of it. So there you go. Lots of love to you, Sagittarius, and catch you another time. Bye for now. And on to Capricorn. So Capricorn, I don't know if it's your sun, your moon, or your ascendant that you're watching for, but this is a forecast to help you understand a little bit more about what's going on in terms of the Galactic Centre, what it represents in your chart, and the effects of the aspects that the Galactic Centre is going through between now. Actually, it's been going through it for quite some time, but from now up until really the end of 2025. So the subject of the Galactic Centre, and if you're interested in knowing more about that, you can see it all in the first part. But the Galactic Centre is that place of knowing. It represents a supermassive black hole at the centre of our galaxy. And it's a place where we're bathed in the potential of awakening, of consciousness. It's where we might access some of our greatest gifts in life. It's where we find context of what we're doing here. And so what I want to do is unpack that for you. So I might be talking to you about how are you awakening, how you can feel at peace whilst you're awakening, whilst the world is catching up, what one of your gifts are, and why you don't have to know everything, and how you might not need to know everything, which sounds a bit cryptic, but I'm sure it will become clear. So the Galactic Centre doesn't really move much. It shifts about 1 degree, every 50 to 70 years. I mean, it's really, really slow moving. And where it currently is and has been for pretty much your lifetime, it's been at the tail end of Sagittarius, which is absolutely highlighting this really unconscious part of your chart, like a place where you're not really consciously aware of it. It just feels like there is this immense power that you can tap into, but you're not necessarily knowing how to tap into it. Now, if you've got lots of things in the sign of Sagittarius in your birth chart, maybe you've got a planet right over this spot, you might find that you are able to access this vast wellspring of knowledge and intuition and put it to good use. But, if you haven't got anything there, the chances are you're just aware of this immense power that you've got access to, but maybe not entirely sure how to access it. It's like a vague knowing, like a knowing that there should be something happening, but not entirely sure how to access it. So the 12th house is a place of the unconscious mind, but it's also a place of our inner programming. And that also includes our fears, insecurities, and I think our self-sabotage also sits in this particular place. And so you might find that, your self-sabotage and insecurities maybe have to do with not living up to the potential that you actually know resides within you. That feeling of, I should be doing much more than I'm currently doing, but how? And it's almost locked up. The unconscious mind is almost like a dungeon. I mean, that's not a very popular way of looking at it. The 12th house is a bit like, I guess it is like a dungeon or a cellar or an attic or a cupboard, under the stairs, that place where you put all your rubbish and you kind of lock it away so that if somebody just suddenly knocks on your door, they come in and they see your house nice and clean and you're like covered under the stairs is like full to the brim of stuff. But it's like your mind. It's a place where you lock away those things that you're not ready to process and maybe don't have the energy and maybe you don't have the inclination. But the unconscious mind is there with the Galactic Centre. So even if you're not highlighting it, if you're trying to lock these thoughts away, there's this massive source of consciousness that really keeps all of these problems alive for you. Not keeping them alive, but it brings so much consciousness and energy to resolve these issues. So I think you almost hear these things knocking on the door, say, "Hey, let me out, let me out." So it has the energy. When the Galactic Centre is activated, let's say, that's when you start hearing your unconscious mind knocking and saying, look, it's getting a bit busy in here. For God's sake, sort out your insecurities, please. It's like, I need space. So Neptune then is the planet that's in a square to the Galactic Centre, and it has been for quite some time. It's gone into 3 exact squares. One, it's already happened. The next one's on the 21st of November, and the next one after that is on the 22nd of December. And then we won't have this particular square happen for, a couple of centuries. I think. 100 and, I don't know how many years it is. 158 or something like that. It's a long time, until this happens again. Let me just check that, in fact. The exact time is 163 to 164 years. There you go. There's Neptune's cycle for you. It doesn't come around that often. It's not likely to happen in your lifetime. Now, whilst this is happening, this ongoing square between Neptune and the Galactic Centre, the North Node is also inching its way back into the sign of Pisces. And then Saturn is moving its way through Pisces and inching its way closer to this sensitive point. Now, it just so happens in April, the North Node and Saturn and still Neptune are all technically in a square to the Galactic Centre. So it's not, just aspected once, but it's aspected 3 times just with these particular planets. That's not including the sun and the moon or anything else. But yeah, when the moon goes over there, boy, that's the sun goes over there as well. That's really, really going to be intense, really intense in between these points, just at the start of spring. Yikes. And then in May of 2025, Jupiter also goes into an opposition with it. And so these 3 are still kind of activated and Jupiter is in an opposition. So there's a huge amount of energy activating the galactic center. So whatever is going on for us right now, or for you right now, in terms of your unconscious mind going, hey, you need to come and let us out. We need air. You know, there's some thoughts and stuff that needs to come up from the depths to be kind of made whole and healed through the vast amounts of consciousness that the galactic center is offering. This is just going to get stronger and stronger as we head into the summer of next year before kind of fading away. So I see this as a crescendo, you know, of an awakening. It's like a wave that's growing and growing and growing. You know, when you're watching the waves of the ocean coming in and you can see it and it's just like tiny, and then it grows and it grows and it grows bigger. And then it comes a bit fast and then it crashes and then it goes back out again. You know, and we're not going to be experiencing that again. So it is big. And I think this is, you know, out of all the signs I've done so far, like yours is the one that's going to be awakening the unconscious, but also vast part of your mind, you know, like your mind body system, all of the little bits that are sort of in control of that, your ability to use your intuition, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, all of the sort of psychic energies are absolutely highlighted at this time. So, you know, how are you awakening? I think your senses are coming online. Not your physical senses, although they're likely to be tingling, your spidey senses, your deeply intuitive knowing is being ratcheted up. Like the volume is being turned right up. So much more than you might even be aware that it can reach. So if you have been, you know, in your life thinking, yeah, there's something about me, I do sense this great power, this is one of the times when it's likely to really grow substantially, and quite fast. Now, how can you feel at peace with this whilst the world is catching up? Well, the interesting thing is you don't really know that the world is catching up. All you know is that you're aware of this great big pattern within you that's coming up, this like need for consciousness to reveal itself through your intuition and all of these extra sensory abilities. How you can feel at peace with it, I think, is how you can make practical sense of it. Obviously, as a Capricorn, there's a real huge need for you to make practical sense of things. So I think if you're able to use your gifts as they arise within you in a way that is to solve problems, to help yourself, to help people, to help create a strategy from A to B to help people move forwards. I think anything that you can do with your newly developed skills as they are, you know, getting more and more apparent for you, anything that you can do that feels practical will be the way forward. In terms of this particular square, it feels like there's a lot of pressure from your community. And you know, with Neptune there, then the North Node and also Saturn, it feels like what's going on in your community is almost like fuel for this to erupt for you. So it might be dissatisfaction in the rules and regulations of your community. Maybe your community is starting to feel like it's limiting you in some way. But then Neptune having gone through it is also feels like you don't really know what your community is about or where you belong in this new structure of things. And then as the North Node is coming in, it's really asking you to work out where you belong. The original idea of where you fit in is most likely changing. And so, you know, there's a lot of tension that comes from that absolutely is helping to wake up any insecurity about belonging and fitting in, to wake up any insecurity about early learning and what you learned, or, you know, all the things that you learned in terms of how the world works, etc., is like to be really turned on its head. And so I think this eruption of psychic phenomena for you and inner knowing is likely to show up in ways that could be a little bit painful, showing that what you thought life was about is actually a little bit different. It's almost being able to see through layers and layers and layers of almost like a dream-like experience. I think of it a little bit like the Truman Show, where you've been business as usual for so long, and now it's impossible to ignore the fact that you have a knowing that the Truman Show is a massive performance, that there is something much bigger going on behind the scenes, like what is life about? And so I think the more you can be practical about it, the easier it will be. Now, speaking of it being practical, this is slightly challenging. Like Jupiter, when he does make the full opposition and the T-square with Saturn, your ruling planet, no less, it's in the sign of Gemini, and in this part of your chart, it's absolutely bringing a lot more into your life. So, whatever's going on in your community and whatever's going on because of your enhanced intuition and the ability to use new skills and develop new skills, I think it's bringing a lot of extra tension into your life, because your life is shifting. When your vibration shifts, when you are becoming more aware of things, I guess, growing in awareness, more opportunities are coming into you, more opportunities that are matching your newer vibration, matching who you are. And so I think it's going to get a bit busier, and it might get a bit crazier, but it's the start of your awareness, or the continuance of your awareness, and then how it settles into your being, how you allow it to ground, how you allow it to embed. I think that is where maybe being practical is so important. So I really do think you need to embed what you're learning in such a way that you can make sense of it. So I don't know how you'll do it. You have all the practical skills. I don't think I need to know how you need to know that, but I just know that you don't have to know everything. It will fall into place. That's when the skills that you have of being deeply practical, pragmatic, straightforward, disciplined, with immense self-discipline, I absolutely think you'll find a way to use your skills, and by using them, you're embedding them. So there you go, Capricorn. It's a little view, a little snapshot of what is going on. So again, if you have felt this like rush of energy and these maybe a sense of downloads, like this immense knowing, like if somebody asks you a question, like what's your greatest gift, or what do you think about, I don't know, something in the news or something. Somebody's asking you something. There's the usual voice that's going on in your head, but then there's something really lightning fast, really quick, really surprising. And it might be your voice, it might not be your voice, but there's this really kind of definitive answer. That is the connection that I'm talking about. So it's not in your imagination. You are going through some big changes. So I hope that's helpful for you. Okay, on to Aquarius. So Aquarius, this is, and I don't know if you're Aquarius sun, moon, or ascendant, but this is to really look at the way that the Galactic Centre is being activated right now, and where it's being activated in your chart, and what it might mean. I mean, this energy, the Galactic Centre, is a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. It is, I guess it's like the sun it's like the sun, and our solar system is one of its planets. It is like one of the systems that our solar system is in sync with, so it has this super strong awareness, this super strong energy that it has the ability to raise our vibration significantly, lead to us having these spontaneous awakenings, this real deep sense of knowing, the deep sense of connection. To me, the Galactic Centre in your chart really shows where you want to be of service, and where you can start following your own breadcrumbs, like from what you're getting from your intuition, and start planning a slightly different future for yourself, one that might involve a little bit more service, a little bit more intuition than usual. So this is something unusual that's likely to set you off on a slightly different trajectory in your life. I really see this energy as having a lot of impact. The last time this energy came around was 164 years ago. And it won't be around again for another 164 years. So this is a really big phenomenon of this Neptune in a square. Now, obviously, Neptune is very much about our psychic ability, our desire for the deepest levels of creativity. It's very much about oneness. And the square between Neptune in your second, which is about how you can receive and be open to divine guidance, and also wanting maybe to work, maybe for money, maybe not, but work in a way that helps to awaken people. Neptune is definitely, on the spiritual spectrum. But the Galactic Centre here, the way it's set up in your chart, I think, is absolutely for some kind of global visioning. The 11th house in that area in your chart is absolutely laid out, I think, to represent group activities, collective activities, that feeling of brotherhood and sisterhood, the idea that we're all equal, we're all tied in together. Now, that particular house is also about co-creation, co-collaboration. Or collaboration, actually, as it's no, not co-collaboration. Duh. But it is where we come together, all of us bright minds, all of us bright sparks, children of the light. We are getting together to create something that has a huge swell of information, energy, frequency that can traverse the planet or the plane. This is about, I think, getting into our cosmic vibration and knowing our place, knowing why we're here. This is about our purpose. And so this is huge as it's impacting your chart. The fact it's been here the whole time of your life, you've probably always known that there was something that was going to cosmically connect you to everyone else, or connect you to a divine vision for the future. The ability to work towards something. Excuse me. And what's interesting to me is this square started really in 2023, and it's continuing, and it was exact in March. It's going to be exact again on the 21st of November and on the 22nd of December. And then next year, Neptune is going to separate from this square, but we've got the North Node coming into this place, and we've got Saturn coming into this place, and all three of them are going to be square. Not necessarily exactly, but around April and into May, we've got this three bodies, or, the two planets and the nodes in a square to the galactic center. And then Jupiter in May lines up into the opposition. So that's 4 lots of influence activating the galactic center. I think this is huge, hugely impactful. So, what might it mean then when Saturn, it's already going through your second house? No doubt you've already been thinking about how you can change your work, how you can stabilize your income, how you can create structures around your work. You can develop your work. You can get more serious and disciplined in your work. And then there's the North Node is coming in here. It's also showing you new opportunities with your work. So I really think that this galactic center may well be showing you where you're collaborating with, who you're collaborating with, what you're collaborating on, a real sort of global vision for your future, and then how that feeds back into your personal earnings. I really see that there are groups of people who are coming together to work together really towards a purpose for humanity, possibly with the liberation of humanity. There's some very, very strong themes within this. Now, the opposition with Jupiter, it's in this really strong place to do with your passion and joy in life and what you're creating. Not so much what you're creating with everyone else, but what you deeply desire to create. And so I do see that around May of next year, the real big tension is you are absolutely aligned to some global purpose and feel like you've really signed up to help people in a very strong way, possibly within a team. You're really holding this global vision, and yet in your heart of hearts, there's also a pull to do something for yourself. And so I don't see that as necessarily a deal breaker for you. I just see that it's a source of irritation. It's a source of tension. And maybe that tension is enough for you to say, you know what, right now, this is what counts. You know, actually, creation with everyone else is my contribution. So I think there's this pull to really determine where your loyalty is or where your decision is. And I think the community at large, where you might not be so completely recognized, but where you feel that sense of oneness and collection with everyone else, that collection and connection with everyone else, I think that's the thing that's going to win over. So this is a very, very intense time, and it could absolutely change the way you work. And maybe it's taking you out of being somebody creating things for yourself, and maybe taking you into a way of working with others on a much bigger scale. And that's the thing I think that is really interesting. This can scale up really, really quickly when you're in alignment with your brothers and sisters and working on something much, much bigger. And however you work this, there is a shift in your value, your perceived value, and also how you're valuing yourself. One last thing that I would say is with Neptune and Mars and the North Node, it's really important that wherever you are in this scenario, that you keep your spirit high, that you believe in yourself, that you don't lose confidence, that you remind yourself of your true value. Neptune and Saturn going through this particular area can really knock your confidence for a while. And so I think it's a time where you have to be really discerning and determined to appreciate yourself and give a lot of gratitude to who you are, give a lot of thanks for the opportunities you have in your life, and to really feel the gratitude of it just to keep your self-esteem high. How can you feel at peace whilst the world catches up with you? You know what? I think as the Galactic Centre is really revealed and explored within your chart, you almost don't need to worry about when the world catches up, because you're at the leading edge of things with other collaborators. To me, it feels like your connection to everyone else reminds you that everyone is connecting and catching up. You know, you can feel it more easily than everyone else, the sort of waves of consciousness rising. So yeah, I think that is one of your gifts, is knowing that it's working ahead of time, ahead of everyone else. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there, Aquarius. I hope that was helpful to you in understanding how these sort of awakening energies of the Galactic Centre might impact you. I hope it's helpful, and sending you lots and lots of love. Thanks for being you. It's quite a strong one for you, Pisces, and you know, this is I think strong because this particular layout here, we're talking about the Galactic Centre, which is the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way, and the energy that it has, and the fact that when it's impacted, you know, through aspects from different planets, it starts to really create an energy in your chart. And it just so happens that since 2023, it's been applying in, Neptune, one of your ruling planets, has been applying into a square with the Galactic Centre. It was exact on the 12th of March. It's going to be exact again on the 21st of November, and exact for the last time on the 22nd of December. And thereafter, Neptune is slowly separating from this square. Meanwhile, the North Node is creeping into Pisces, and in April, it will make a connection. It will go into that square position to the Galactic Centre. And Saturn, which is already here, is creeping towards this square point. And so in April and into May, there's the scenario of the North Node, Saturn and Neptune in a square to the galactic center, and also a square or a square between these guys and Jupiter in an opposition to the galactic center. What's interesting about this is the connection between Sagittarius and Pisces. Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius and one of the rulers of Pisces, along with Neptune. And so you've really got the Sagittarius energy working and the Pisces energy working for you. So what does this mean for you? Well, first of all, let's explore the fact that the galactic center is at the top of your chart. It's awakening your direction, your legacy, your karma, if you believe in karma. It's the place of your career. It's the place of your standing. It's the place of your reputation. It's how you stand in the world, how you realize you're an adult and how you have your responsibilities. So with this up here, I think there is a very strong feeling of galactic responsibility, or at least responsibility for consciousness, responsibility for the kind of consciousness that you release into the world. How are you with that? Are you watching your thoughts? Are you entering into massive bouts of polarity, or are you staying out and staying as free as possible? So you're not judging everything and you're keeping your options wide open and open for possibilities and a sense of curiosity. The galactic center here, I think, is encouraging you to grow and evolve towards a subject of consciousness. So you might spend, a few years being very normal and with a normal job. But as you get older and older and older, that sense of a deeper need for purpose and mission and a sense of a soul achievement grows, and it grows really naturally. And if you are in big business, it probably is already surfaced as your desire to be very conscious in the way that you run a business or in the way that you conduct yourself in the workplace. So this energy here with Neptune, it's been in this part of your chart for a long time, really dissolving a lot of old ideas about yourself and encouraging you to follow a more spiritual, a more flexible, a more soul-based, oneness kind of existence. It's about the levels of compassion and forgiveness that you can share with other people. You aren't wanting to live a life where things feel enclosed and trapping you with like negative feelings. You're really wanting to be as open and as fluid as possible. With Saturn going through here, you're getting more serious about your ability to work in a deeply conscious and kind and compassionate way. Your patience and your desire to create a life that feels like it's worth living, a life worth living, a life worth dreaming about is really, really strong. So I do think that you've been going through a bit of a rebrand, and that things have got more serious. You're a lot more discerning and really wanting to be what's the word? You're really well thought out about it. As the North Node is coming into this is absolutely sealing the deal on the new energy, the new energetic set point for you. So it's interesting because the galactic center is absolutely wanting to express itself through your career, through your output, through your public kindness, through the sense of you working consciously for something that feels like a legacy project. And yet one of the maybe a difficulty or a tension is that you don't want to move too fast at the moment, because you're still growing, you're still developing, you're in a really dynamic moment of change. And so whatever is going on with that sense that there is something much higher, there's a higher power, a higher purpose that is kind of flooding your life right now. It might feel like it's a bit too rushed for you to be able to integrate it within your body. Now, Jupiter is also going to be creating a little bit more separation as well. You know, Jupiter in the part of your home is making your home feel a lot bigger, or bringing more people into your home. There is a desire to feel a lot more well-being at home, to be more comfortable at home, maybe to be more faithful, and to have more of a spiritual practice at home. It's certainly a place where you want to be really grounded and to enjoy yourself. You know, as these aspects are laid out in your chart, I have to say, Jupiter in opposition to the galactic center doesn't feel like a real hardship. In fact, you know, to me, what this is suggesting is that you're somehow working from home, or like your home, which is a place that you're turning into a place of like higher consciousness, higher awareness, trying to embody everything that is coming at you to create some kind of open compassion and forgiveness. And I don't know, you're wanting to create, what I'm really getting here is one of your gifts is wanting to create a change of feeling for people, you know, to create a change of destiny for people and a change of direction. And I think that's entirely possible. And yet you feel so good here and so exposed here to all of the high energies. And so actually, I think you'll probably be doing a lot of this from home. But boy, will it come down and into your personality. You know, even though this is a T-square going from your 1st and your 4th and your 10th, which usually creates such a difficulty, I actually think this is actually right for you right now. And I think through the idea of consciousness, these 3 different positions of body, home, and career can actually find themselves in a kind of balance. So, you know, out of all the signs, I think this is actually slightly easier than most. Your natural intuition, your natural ability to sense other realities and other kind of potentials. Actually, this just feels like your normal way of being. It's just a bit heightened, you know, a lot more heightened than usual, but it still resonates with how you are. So out of all the signs, I think you'll take to this like a duck to water. You're most likely already more than aware of the growing energy. And actually, you've got the sort of, you've got the flexibility and the desire to be of service that can absolutely make this happen. So there you go, Pisces. I don't think this is as drastic a set of aspects that's going to impact you as it is for other signs. I think you'll take to this like a duck to water. So I don't think you need to worry about feeling peace with the world whilst the world is catching up in consciousness, because I think you already have been there. You've been practicing this quite diligently. So if anything, I think you're really coming into your own, where you can absolutely express the gifts that you already know that you have. And anything that you don't know, I think you already trust it will just come at the right time anyway. So there you go. I think that's how things are awakening for you. And I really think it starts at the top here, and you're already doing this hard work here on yourself. So you're actually already in the right place. So there you go, Pisces. I hope that was helpful. Lots and lots of love to you as you explore this energy further. So there you go. They were my thoughts. I just want to reach out and thank all the people within my community again, for your support. I really, really appreciate it. You know, it's this kind of support that really helps me to do this kind of weird and wonderful and wacky exploratory astrology. So God bless you. If I can be of any further help to anyone at all, then please do just get in touch. All of the details that you might need if you wanted to work with me, just invite me to a session. All of my details below. Just book yourself in my diary and we can take it from there. But anyway, wishing you lots of awakening feelings and a feeling of joy and flow and compassion as all of these energies come into being. Anyway, speak to you soon. Bye for now.